Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. A fine lawn maintenance Tuesday to you and yours. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. If you are to miss stuff, it happens. Go back, get caught up at your leisure. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the show, and it's done so with limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great sponsor, SVN. Fine folks at Southland Commercial and Carlton Dean. CarltonDean.com. You'll find out about some off-market deals, right? You can email the show if you like, jcs at 97.espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app is free for your mobile devices. You can always email the show, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Read them all, get back to some. Appreciate everybody. Certainly the input is always good. On Twitter, it's at JCameronShow. And, yeah, I think we're caught up. YouTube. Hey, YouTube, what's happening? Although I'm probably blinding you if you're on YouTube today. This shirt's ridiculous. But it is a fun shirt for my kids.
Kind of spooked me when you walk into the studio earlier today.
I forgot I was wearing it.
Yeah.
And your reaction to me startled me. I walked in, and I was going to ask you a question.
I'm looking at the computer over here to my left, and you come into the door to my right, so I'm not looking at you. And then I turn around.
Looked at me, like, what the? I was like, what? And then I had no idea. I thought I had an injury or something that I was unaware of. Yeah, it's a spooky clown. It's from that arcade in Panama City that's been there for, I don't know how, like 100 years. And I like old arcades. I love arcades. And we went there, and my kids love arcades, and I played an AC/DC pinball machine for about a half an hour. And as I was leaving, this shirt caught my eye. I thought, nobody buys that shirt. They probably haven't sold one of these in ages. And the lady was kind of shocked. I said, how much for one of those? You got an extra large? She said, yeah. I go, how much? And she told me what it was. It was too much for this shirt, whatever, but I bought it. And so
that'll be $32.
Yeah, it's something. It's like $24. It's ridiculous, but what are you going to do? I like arcades and spooky clowns and things of that ilk.
So did it resonate with you in a greater way than it did me when we were reached out to last summer to provide sound for a Florida State pinball machine?
I thought it was really cool.
Okay,
I thought it was really, really cool. Yeah. Now, listen, I will say, okay, so this is a quick divergence, but we can do that on a lawn maintenance Tuesday in May. I'll say this. I didn't grow up in an era where pinball was the thing. By the time I was in, the kind of in the middle of my youth, video games had happened, and pinball had been left behind. And then it kind of got reclaimed the way that things do when another generation kind of overlooks something. People go back and go, hey, wait a minute, this was cool too. But by the time I was a kid, Pong had happened, and then not very shortly after that, you had the Atari 2600, and nobody was playing ping pong. Although the Atari 2600 made a really cool video ping pong game that I remember you could play and send off, and they'd send patches back if you. That was a thing. So there was a skiing game, slalom skiing. There was the game Pole Position. Everybody knows that game. Everybody knows that game.
I tried not to emote.
I know.
You looked over here.
That's the racing game.
Yeah.
That's the racing game. There were several games that everybody knew, and if you achieved, like Missile Command, if you did if you achieved a certain goal, you could send that off and you got a patch. And my stepfather built this little wooden encasement where you put the 2600 so we wouldn't kick it and step on it and stuff. And then it had a top. He even built a top, and then we'd put all our patches on top of it.
How would you get the patch?
You had to send off to Atari and take a picture, like a Polaroid.
I was going to say, yeah.
You had to literally take a picture of your television of the score that you had and send it off to them, and they would send you in the mail a patch back. I remember there was this one perfect score you could get in the downhill slalom, and it was a really big deal in my household. And me and my brothers and my stepdad, we'd go to war on this thing. But you had to be in the slot. You had to be just right. If you missed by a hair, you lost a tenth of a second, just like in real skiing, and you're screwed. You couldn't do it. But I finally did it, and I wanted that patch. It was a big damn deal. And he still has the patches.
So what you're saying is you had to take a screenshot, make sure not to Photoshop the screenshot, and tweet Atari.
Yeah.
That's what you were doing?
Yes, in essence. Of course, there is no such thing as Photoshop back then. Not really, anyhow. And yeah, you took a Polaroid picture and sent it off. licked an envelope, sent that sucker off, and there you go.
2 months later,
yeah,
comes your patch.
They were like, congratulations, you got a little notice, and then it would give you the patch, and you'd hold that thing aloft. I got my patch. It was a big to-do. Anyhow, pinball wasn't a big deal. My buddy had a pinball machine next door that his dad had bought, and we would play on that thing for a while. But I didn't care all that much about pinball until many years later. And then pinball had a resurgence, and they made all these pinball games that had themes. Most of them had to do with horror films or metal. So you could find an Aerosmith or an AC/DC or a Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin, whatever machine, pinball machine.
Just thinking, I don't know that it resonates with the younger part of the millennial generation the way it does for you and me. But when you got something in the mail,
it was rewarding.
That was a prize, or you saved the UPCs from the cereal boxes or whatever it was, and you sent off and you got that thing back.
It was a big damn deal.
That was huge.
Just like getting a letter was a big damn deal.
Yeah.
No, listen, this could take us down a path. There's real value in those things, and it's just like anything that you end up working towards, I mean, Jimbo would be on a long rant right about now, and this would be the impetus for that. When you have instant gratification, then nothing is all that satisfying because it all happens now, and you're on to the next thing, and you don't have to wait and anticipate and think about what all that's going to mean and how hard you worked in some cases to get it. Oh, no, I got it. I see it all the time.
A couple of weeks ago, I'm at the grocery store, and I got a certain item from the grocery store. They don't sponsor or anything. And they what
are they doing? You know how popular this business could be if they sponsored the Jeff Cameron Show? Anyhow, sorry.
They mislabeled the package, you see. They said there was one item in there, but there actually wasn't. You open the package, and it's a completely different item altogether.
Well, that's a strange thing to have happen.
Well, it was a flavoring kind of thing.
Oh, I got you.
And so it was a different type of the same product. Mm-hmm. So I sent off a screenshot to him on social saying, "Hey, listen," because I didn't like the other one. It's it's awful. But I wanted them to know
that
if they were
had made
distributing. Well, if they're distributing mass quantities of this stuff to the
just all
with the wrong packaging,
with the wrong damn thing.
Well, you're about to suffer some losses unless you recall, friends. But they were kind enough to offer to send a coupon to get a replacement item, which I could have just done by going to the grocery store, and I'm sure they would have been fine. That at the particular store,
right?
But the company went the extra mile and they sent it through the snail mail, and I don't know why. It amounts to $6-7, but I don't know why.
That's
the
cool.
fact that I talked to a person and they put something in the mail
they
themselves.
had to deliberately do it.
Yes.
It's the thing that I get into about listening to music. And, I'm quick to get on the soapbox about music, but if you buy albums or you have some arrangement set up where you decide, it doesn't have to be albums necessarily, but that helps in this cause, where if you are going to sit down and invest in a record, you're actively listening at that point, and you're catching a lot of the subtleties and nuance that is lost if you do it just digitally, haphazardly in the car here and there, maybe for one song, Bluetooth in the shower, then the next time you hear the album, whatever. You don't have to be involved in the process or even kind of pick up on the themes of a record by doing that, and that's unfortunate because some of my favorite albums were albums that took a long time to digest, things that maybe I didn't even like the first 2 to 3 to 4 listens, and after a while, it's funny, this has been talked about before, but in an album like Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys, for example, there are so many samples now. That album can't be made anymore. It literally can't be made because of the laws that have passed about sampling, but you got to go back and you're like, that's the Doors, that's the Doobie Brothers. Good Lord, that's a jazz riff. Who's he sampling? You go back. You have to actively listen to that record. Now, that's just one example. There are tons of, whether it's rock and roll or jazz or blues, whatever it might be.
Sure. Well, in sports case, too, the tickets, a lot of times now there are e-tickets and they're on your smartphone. But to a kid,
holding on to your ticket.
You open up a card, and then there's a ticket to a big game, a ball game.
Do you have tickets from games of your youth? Do you have your Lightning tickets, per se, in baseball and things like that?
Oh, I never let go of 4 or 5 of them I can think of, certainly right now. One of them was a game, again, it was the Yankees and the Red Sox Game 703 ALCS. That was the Aaron Boone walk-off. I never let go of that ticket. The face value on it was $200, and my seat was, it must have gone for 10 times as much on the street. And that's a prized possession because it was a gift. But the first Buccaneers game I went to, I have that ticket.
That's
it was
cool.
Buccaneers, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
It opened up the 96 or 97 season. It was the first year the uniforms changed. And I remember we sat 50-yard line, great seats, about 30, 40 rows up, but you could feel the Cool Zone fans on the sideline because it was a hot September Sunday.
That close, yeah.
We wore the white with the pewter pants that day because of the heat. And Warren Sapp sacked Steve Young at least twice, maybe 3 times in that game. So, I still have that ticket. I treasure that ticket.
Sports tickets in games that you attend, I have those of my youth. I have also the ones as an adult where I went to the Super Bowl or whatever. I have those tickets, of course. But I have a buddy who's saved every ticket to every game he's ever been to for anything from the time he was 5 until now, and he's in his 40s. And it's pretty remarkable when you go back. Like I think I could go back. I have tickets. I think I saw the Who in 1980 or 81, around there. I have a ticket for that. I saw Rush at the Bayfront Center in like 84, 83, something like that. So I have some of these tickets that I go back now, and you instantly are taken back to that time period and what it was like when
Well, we have our media credentials, too,
Sure.
and we save those
I
from
save
big
all
events. And, obviously the BCS title game. We save the hotel keys. Remember those with the BCS thing on it and the lapel pin and all that?
The only key that I recently, and it's to this point, to your point, for those that don't know, when Florida State played in the national championship game in the Rose Bowl against Auburn, one of the things they gave out to the media staying in Newport is this key, and it has the Rose Bowl emblem on it, and it has the year and whatever, and that's your key to your room. And they also gave you the pendant that you needed to wear to get in and out of certain venues within the hotel.
It was your ID badge, essentially.
Yeah, as media. And that's one of the only hotel keys, electronic keys, I've ever held on to and cared about. But I recently thought I had lost my wallet, and somebody turned it in at Corn Country Club, thankfully, my dumbass. I don't know what I was doing, but anyhow, I left it on the driving range. And I didn't care anything about the credit cards, the ID. Really, I mean, it was a nominal amount of money.
Golf clubs, shafts, grips.
I didn't care anything about anything except for the damn Rose Bowl key. And that was the reminder. Take that out, put that somewhere safe, and pass that on because, damn it, man.
That's about as meaningful as anything I've ever gotten for covering an event. I think maybe the Stanley Cup Finals credential that we had for the Chicago series.
Yeah.
But tickets mean more. As much as those things mean, the tickets mean more because typically they're either a gift
with as
or
a family member or
a
friend. Yeah, I agree.
They just carry that extra little nostalgia to them. And it could be from 5 years ago. I got a ticket from 3 years ago. I took my dad to the playoff game that I mentioned often.
Yeah.
And I'll always, and it's it's the new one. It's not the cool, ticket that has the perforated edges. It's a freaking piece of paper, like with the Ticketmaster barcode.
Oh, that's not as cool. I like the ticket. The ticket is where it's at. I just laughed, sorry, while we were talking. Michael sends a tweet, and he took a picture of the shirt I'm wearing. And he wrote, to quote Jay Cameron Show, I bet they haven't sold many of those shirts. Wonder why. Hashtag a-hole.
Hashtag a-hole.
Yeah, it's out there, huh? What do you want me to do?
Do your sons get frightened at the sight of that clown?
I'll be honest, I have not worn this shirt since I bought it. So
laundry time?
No, actually, they were ridiculing me. I bought this shirt over a year. This shirt's going to be a topic. You can see it on YouTube. There you go. I feel like Mike and Mike.
Be sure to go to my Twitter feed at ESPN Green to click on the link to the Mike Greenberg YouTube page.
They have been pasted lately. It has been so good.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, did you see SI about the bad blood? That's openly
that's a
discussed
topic now too, which is really kind of absurd because who cares? That show sucks. Anyhow, here's the thing.
Now that it has an end date, the truth comes out.
They were really nice to me every time I've been on there as a guest, and I have nothing personally against them. It's just that I don't think the show's any good.
Here's what I didn't realize, though, real quick.
Yeah.
You know that Greenberg's TV show will be at a New York City studio, so he got his way in the end.
Oh, of course. But he's part of management, so who was going to get their way?
Oh, he signed a $6.5 million annual contract?
For that show?
For him, yes. That's what SI.com I read today. He gets paid $6.5 a year to be Mike Greenberg.
Well, we're gonna have to move forward because it's ridiculous. Anyhow, moving forward, I hadn't worn this shirt, and I bought it with every intention of wearing it because of its absurdity. And I like kind of absurdism just in general. And like 4 different times I opened up my drawer to grab T-shirt. I pretty much wear T-shirts. That's the beauty of working in radio. And I went to grab a T-shirt, and I had this in my hand over the course of the last year, and I went, it really is kind of an absurd shirt. And I would set it, because it was like bright outside, and I thought, this shirt is insane. And so I'd set it back down. I actually love the clown. The clown is crazy evil, and I like that part of it. So but I would put it back because it was too bright outside. But today, it was overcast, and it was raining this morning, and my wife walked by getting ready to go out the door to work, and she goes, I always walk them out, because she's taking the kids to school. And so I was getting ready to walk out there with her. She goes, because she saw the shirt. She's like, it's pretty dark outside. You could wear the shirt. And the kids were like, yeah, you got to wear it. So here I am in my freaking Funland shirt.
Yeah, I like it more than the Walter Subcheck shirt, and there aren't many better than that.
That's a good shirt, huh?
This is an all-timer. You should wear this to Jimbo's first presser of the fall.
And just ask really serious questions like the whole time.
So, Coach, with Alabama only 3 weeks away.
I have to admit that I would want to sit in the front row, for the entire beat to see, and have the camera set up. I always begin the season with the first question at Jimbo's press conference. Just straight-faced, never waver. Coach, the way the rules have changed in the last 2 years, have you thought recently about altering perhaps your offensive approach and just stand dead, maybe even stand up
to ask the first question? Coach Jeff Cameron,
ESPN Radio. Jeff Cameron, ESPN Radio. Coach, listen, and just, wear a jacket with it and jeans. It's an actual, yeah.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
He's dead. He
He had a heart attack or something.
Yeah,
we don't see it on screen.
They don't show it on screen, but yeah, the jaws killed him.
That's okay. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Miller's Tree Service. We go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Miller's Tree Service. We go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-509-2163, 800-509-2163, 800-509-2163, 800-509-2163.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Live market pricing is better than ever at Werner Hyundai during the Better Than Ever sales event going on now. You'll get the best prices guaranteed. Get up to $10,000 in total savings off a new 2017 Hyundai Sonata, or up to $7,000 in total savings on a new 2017 Santa Fe Sport. You heard right. That's why it's the Better Than Ever sales event. These are the best deals in the 30-year history of Hyundai. Werner Hyundai does quick credit approvals over the phone and offers online delivery. Want to test drive first? Then take a better test drive. They'll pay for your gas if you go to them, or deliver straight to you for a remote test drive. And when you test drive, get a free smartwatch or MP3 player while supplies last. Enjoy a worry-free purchase with a 3-day buyback program, and get Hyundai Assurance with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, and 2 years free maintenance. Why shop anywhere else? Werner has the best customer service, test drives, pricing, and warranty. Werner Hyundai, 252 Capitol Circle Southwest, or check them out online at wernerhyundai.com. Must approve finance through Hyundai Motor Finance with approved credit. See dealer for details. Sonata stock number GH329871. Santa Fe stock number HD492731.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Well, obviously, it goes without saying that there are times that rivalries and the fun we have with each other get thrown to the side and don't matter at all. And the realization that you need each other in a rivalry and you respect each other and the players, usually that too should go without saying. But as much as I tease the University of Miami today, I feel for that fan base and for all of his former teammates and coaches and anybody that felt a part of those great programs in the late 80s, early 90s at the University of Miami, because Cortez Kennedy has passed at the age of 48. And I remember him very well, just obviously as a college football lover and somebody who obviously had immense respect for what he brought to the table. He's also a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and only 48 years old. Sad, sad news that, as I say, former University of Miami football great Cortez Kennedy dead at the age of 48. That is way too young. And as of right now, no cause is known, and it is not a suspicious death. At least that is the quote from the Orlando Police Department. Of course, Kennedy, for those that maybe don't remember him in college, certainly can remember him with his time at the Seattle Seahawks, where he played for over a decade. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame rather recently. I think it was 2012 that he went into the Hall of Fame, and he's in Miami's Ring of Honor. He was a beast of a defensive tackle, and I hate to hear it. You go back and you look on those years in the late 80s on into the 90s. He was on the 89 national championship team for Miami. I was in high school. I remember that team really, really well. And we talk about, again, the rivalry between Florida State and Miami. But a lot of times you're able to take a step back from that rivalry, and you can incorporate Florida in this discussion too, and really realize, I often reference the Sports Illustrated cover that I remember so well in my youth, which is the cover was the state of Florida. And this is at a time when everybody got Sports Illustrated and sat down and read it cover to cover and all of that. And I remember feeling a sense of pride, living in Florida, growing up in Florida, playing football in the state of Florida, being part of that, I guess, for lack of a better term, fraternity of football players who grew up in the state and played in the state. And there's so much talent in the state. So much. You would go every morning. I would get up and I would sit at the breakfast table, and I usually ate one of three things. I loved raisin bread as a kid, obviously cereal. But I also loved, my mom would make French toast, and I would eat French toast almost every morning. I was spoiled rotten. But I would read the St. Petersburg Times, the sports pages, and you would go through and you would read up on not just how the high schools were doing and the kids that were coming out of those high schools all throughout the state, because you knew a lot of them were going to be playing in the state and they were going to be big-time names. But also how the various schools were doing and their lead up to that weekend's game. And, that was at a time when Florida State began to emerge. Miami had already established themselves. Obviously, it all kind of got started with Miami in '83 and going back to the national championship victory against Nebraska. Oddly enough, all these years later, it's easy for me to admit, at that time, I think the entire state was rooting for Miami. I know I was. Because, well, first of all, I was 12. And secondly, Florida State and Florida and Miami, they'd never accomplished anything. And who gave a damn about Nebraska? And Schnellenberger had come in there and done this and put kind of state of Florida college football on the map. All schools had had some previous successes, including Florida State's undefeated season before losing in the Orange Bowl, but nothing sustained, and certainly not a national championship. And these guys, Cortez, Kennedy, and the like, are the kinds of guys that you remember putting the state on the map, whether it be famed Florida State players whom we hold on high and rightfully so and have allegiance to because of our affiliation with Florida State. But also, it's true. It's Florida players and it's Miami players too. And we're all part of that bigger group of people who grew up in the state and loved the sport of football and watched as this state came to dominate the college game. And it's because of Hall of Famers like Cortez Kennedy. So I hate, amongst many others, of course, but I hate seeing this. 48 years old is devastating. And by the way, even though he hadn't played for Seattle in some time, he was still really active within the organization. And when Seattle won a Super Bowl, they say of all the ex-players, perhaps none were more proud and excited about, in some ways, having paved the way for that than Cortez Kennedy. So rest in peace, Cortez Kennedy. Sucks to hear the news today that at the age of 48, he has passed. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
518 through 622.
Check out your many DeWalt FlexVolt options at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, your FlexVolt headquarters. Buy any of the following T1 DeWalt FlexVolt kits for $2.99, 60-volt max grinder kit or 60-volt max brushless reciprocating saw kit, and add one 60-volt DeWalt battery pack for less than half price. See store for details. FlexVolt, power of corded, freedom of cordless. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays 8 a.m. to noon.
Oh no! My lunch has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Kiana Redding has been chosen Employee of the Month. An accounts receivable specialist, Kiana's determination, dedication to her work, and outstanding performance reflect the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Kiana.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
We lead busy lives. That's why Superlube offers quick and convenient service with no appointment necessary at any of our 19 area locations. And remember, Superlube offers a free top-off service between oil changes, checking and topping off fluids, and tire pressure. But did you know that right now when you buy one wiper blade, you get one free, just in time for Tallahassee's rainy season? Superlube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. We start with reality television. Last night, Tallahassee's very own David Ross earned a perfect score 40 out of 40 during the 3-month competition of Dancing with the Stars. He's one of 3 finalists on the reality television show, joining former Jaguar running back Rashard Jennings. How about the sales contract of Babe Ruth, forged in December 1919, sent the pitcher and the slugger from the Boston Red Sox to the Yankees, now being auctioned by Lelands.com. NBA, the Warriors off to the NBA Finals. They sweep the Spurs 129-115 last night. Manu Ginobili of the Spurs may have played his last game, has not officially announced his retirement. Game 4 of the Celtics and Cavs tonight in Cleveland. Cavs up 2-1. And O.J. Simpson has a parole hearing in July. If he is granted parole, he could be released from prison as early as October.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. It's weird. I don't know if it's the lack of intrigue in the NBA playoffs that have been talked about really probably too much, even by me. But all I can think about is college football. And we're starting the ACC tournament, and we've got a big game coming up. Obviously, opportunity to maybe do further damage and maybe make our way into hosting a regional. Outside chance of that, I suppose. If they can complete in earnest the sweep of Louisville and, of course, take care of business against sorry-ass Notre Dame, it may very well be a reality. I don't think so, but it could be. And yet, I keep thinking about college football in May. That's dangerous. Probably not good.
This is a dark time. You know, the last couple of years, the hockey club that we like so much has been playing hockey, sometimes for a couple more weeks.
Yeah. By the way, that was fun last. I don't know. I know you don't care about Nashville, but watching that celebration, I mean, we can relate to that. It is one thing I love about hockey fans in general, and we talk about what that sport is in the eyes of the average American sports fan. It's very much a community game, a communal game. Sort of people of those cities are in love with those franchises. It doesn't translate on national television necessarily, but you can sense it and feel it when you watch those games in markets like Nashville, where they've yet to accomplish anything and now are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. That's a fan base and a kind of a welcome to lunacy that I remember in Tampa Bay. And it's fun to watch those kinds of fans have success. Anyhow, it was fun to watch last night.
We had that in years past.
Yeah.
Certainly the baseball team was better. Last year, even the NBA Conference Finals provided us a little bit of drama as Oklahoma City went up 3-1 on Golden State, and therefore you thought, wow.
Yeah.
Could it be Cleveland OKC in the finals? You know, so LeBron would match up with OKC. It's a rematch, kind of, sort of, because he did play them when Miami won its first title.
Yeah.
But there's none of that. Stanley Cup playoffs, no good. Baseball team is showing signs of life, but it hasn't been that type of year where you're inspired.
No.
Yeah. This is a dark time. It's a dark age for sports, May of 2017.
I don't know if it's a dark age. I think I'll just say this. I actually feel like, and maybe I'm more optimistic just in the sense that every day I look up, I don't think a day went by. It feels like weeks on end went by. I mean, remember we were joking about how long March took, I think it was? We were like, what in the hell with March? Lord. And it's about to be June. Tom, once June rolls around, what are we doing here, buddy?
I don't
June?
know. I feel like it's been May 23rd for
man, it's
3
been
weeks.
May for an hour. We are rolling Big River. It's all happening. It's about to be football season for real.
I've been asking myself, is that Memorial Day weekend coming up next week?
It is.
Well, now that's finally the answer
right
is
here.
yes. But
I mean, my God.
I've been asking that for 6 consecutive weeks in this month of May.
We got virtually no time. I mean, we're going to wake up and it'll be my birthday in June. Yes. Come on, give it up. That is so well done.
That is, yeah.
And it was smooth, too.
Don't listen to him.
That was
Don't
so
send
well
anything.
Done. Yes. I'm so proud of that.
No
I got
mailing.
him.
No.
I got him. Anyhow, you had to stop in mid-sentence. I got you so
I
good.
did. Well, you know, and also our baseball teams have been good the last few years. And for you.
Mine sucks.
Mine, too.
Now, yeah.
Hey, they're up to 27th in ERA. So it's just, I mean, damn. I think I'm going to watch this ACC baseball tournament with more vigor than I have
be locked in
a long time.
Jeff, please, I'll call you back. North Carolina is taking on Wake.
Give me something. You know, the U.S. Open's not even for another 3 weeks for golf. It's the weekend of the 18th of June.
When's the U.S. Open for tennis?
That's not until July, I think, right?
I can never remember.
Late July, August?
I should remember that.
Wimbledon's, we got to go French, then Wimbledon.
Wimbledon's in July.
We haven't played the French yet, right? That's coming up right now.
That's on right now. The French is happening. Yeah, your boy just pulled out.
Yeah, that's right.
Federer said, I'm not doing it.
Yes.
I'm going to save these tired-ass legs. Yeah. I'm not going on clay. Yeah. You are, I swear to God, you're 30 going on 14 because you couldn't help yourself, and I just kept on moving like an adult.
I didn't say anything.
No, but it was the look. It was the look.
Come on,
you
man.
can't even. No.
You know, if you say that at the end of a clause and not a sentence and punctuate it with all the gusto, then we can move on here.
Man, I'm still marveling at how smooth that birthday reference was. That's an all-timer. Anyhow, so yeah.
When is that for folks who don't know?
June 11th.
Okay.
But yeah. How old will I be, Tom?
You'll be 46.
That's correct.
Oh my God.
I'll be 46. I'll be on the wrong side of 40.
That's Sunday, June 11th, for those of you.
I'll be in Miami at the Joshua Tree Tour, the anniversary tour for U2. I was speaking of tickets, I was at the show at Tampa Stadium, the old Tampa Stadium, in 80, whatever that was, 86. So, yeah, I mean, damn it.
You're at the original one.
Yeah, I was on yes, I saw the original tour. Yes, I was indeed. And all-time tour. It was great.
I remember seeing the first Manchurian Candidate when it was in theaters.
Yes. Well, they do that with movies all the time now.
Yeah.
I mean, those days have long since passed for me.
Well, they remade Spider-Man 10 years after they made the first Spider-Man.
Also, that's something else. We got to get into this. Okay, so they've ruined movies, but I'm not going to be the bitter guy. I'm talking about what they choose to make and not make and get behind. Can we stop with superhero stuff? What are we doing? Every day there's another superhero movie. How many of these can we do? Wonder Woman? Really? Wonder Woman.
Oh, really? What?
What the hell?
Should she be Wonder cleaning or something?
Absolutely. And this is the thing. And of course, that's the easy joke. I'm saying that nobody cared about Wonder Woman when she was around. I don't even think girls cared about Wonder Woman. That's a lame-ass superhero. There are plenty of lame-ass male superheroes, too, by the way. I'm not...
Aquaman.
Yes! Summoning dolphins and squid to help your sorry ass. I'm talking about, you don't need to make... What was her superpower? The invisible plane?
Well, she has the lasso of truth.
That's the dumbest damn thing I've ever heard of. And she wore the wrist bracelet things that
deflect bullets. She's about to lay it down in World War I. This is a historical film. She got us through World War I.
This is going to suck, like the vast majority of these superhero films do.
They make a killing.
We need to stop this nonsense. Every hour there's a new superhero thing. Can we get over? What are we, all 10? Can we make a serious movie?
In a sense, that's true. Research proves that millennials love nostalgia. Nostalgia sells. They just made a Power Rangers movie in the last 6 months.
It was never good. Power Rangers was always terrible. It was never...
I enjoy the Power Rangers.
Well, when you were freaking 7...
Correct.
There's no
I enjoy
reason...
the hell out of them.
Yeah, but you don't want to go see a Power Rangers movie?
I did not, and I don't
because you're a grown-up. What are we doing?
A lot of people my age did.
Get a grip, people. Let's move on. I mean, I get it here and there, every now and again. I got you. But that's all they make. Every time I look up, there's a preview for another freaking superhero film of some kind. And now they're going to the ones that suck to begin with. Have they made a movie for Flash? They made a TV show for Flash.
Oh, yeah. It's been renewed. Yeah. That's the one on Netflix, I think. Then there's a Daredevil one on Netflix, too.
Green Lantern, I'm sure.
That one bombed a couple of times. Yeah.
Because how could it ever be good? It's the Green Lantern.
Yeah, but man, yellow is the thing that kills him. There's a guy with a yellow ring.
I'll give you the first couple of Batmans.
Oh, yeah, the Christopher Nolan ones.
Well, those, of course, were many years after the other Batmans that have already been done.
Which Jack Nicholson, that's actually said that. Revisiting that movie and looking at it as an adult and what it subtly is doing.
Yeah.
That's a good, no.
I like Tim Burton, so I'll give you some of the, but it's because the special effects and the things that are involved in that are so bad, it's hard. It's hard for me to do.
Didn't know it at the time. Isn't it funny how that works?
You don't know it at the time, of course, but well, you know my feelings when I go back and watch Star Wars, but at least Star Wars is an original thing. It's not just we're going to do this over and over and over and over again. It's 17 Spider-Mans. Come on, man.
Are you okay with all the sequels for Star Wars now? I mean, you're taking the kids to them, so you have to subject yourself.
They've gotten better. I mean, they're not.
The Rogue One was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've gotten better. I mean, it's I don't freak out. I'm not racing there to see them. I'm not like, oh God, this is gonna be incredible.
What'd you think about the trailer for the new Star Wars that's coming out in December?
Just kind of vague. I don't know. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. So I was like,
It's a perfect word for it. It's completely vague.
there's nothing there.
It's
You're
like,
just
all
like,
right.
all right,
There's
gotcha.
like 7 screenshots.
Spaceships.
Jedi
there
die.
they are. There's a laser. I'm sure somebody's missing somebody from close range. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
License number CCC 049350.
Get to JCPenney and celebrate savings at our Memorial Day sale. Save up to 35% with major appliance hot deals on your favorite brands like GE, Samsung, and LG. Plus, 30-month special financing on purchases of $7.99 or more with your JCPenney credit card. Plus, free delivery and basic installation on all appliance purchases over $2.99. Save on major appliances now at JCPenney. That's getting your pennies worth. GEG, Profile, GE Cafe, and higher limited to 10% off savings. Available in select stores. Some exclusions apply. Financing terms valid 5/17 to 6/7. Subject to credit approval. Must request at time of purchase. Minimum monthly payments required. See store or jcp.com/appliances for details.
The next generation of power is at the Home Depot, and it's found in Ryobi One Plus tools. Right now during Ryobi Days, buy a Ryobi One Plus lithium-ion compact drill driver kit and get another select Ryobi One Plus tool free, a $79 value. The same battery runs both tools, plus over 70 other One Plus tools. So drill it, drive it, cut it, and save during Ryobi Days, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid 5/18 through 6/22.
Bill's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Bill's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Come see the all-new Bad Boy MZ Magnum and ZT Elite zero-turn mowers at TNT Supercenter. Both models offer the strongest decks in the industry and now have a new deck dial adjustment. Simply lift the deck and set the height with the twist of a knob. Manufactured from 7-gauge fabricated welded steel with an additional 3/8-inch leading-edge reinforcement, MZ Magnum starts at $3,399 and ZT Elite pricing starts at $4,499. Financing with no money down and payments as low as $77 a month with approved credit. TNT and Bad Boy Mower, on a mission to help everybody mow with an attitude.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-509-2163. 800-509-2163. 800-509-2163. 800-509-2163.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Let me tell you, the hookers and strippers of Tampa are en masse celebrating the big news today that Tampa will host the Super Bowl. So that would be wealthy businessmen and corporate outings and prostitution and strip club heaven, right? This is going to be, in all of its glory, Tampa Bay celebrating another Super Bowl. That's it. Tampa Bay gets it for 55. Super Bowl 55. Super Bowl 56, Los Angeles. L.A. had it. Stadium wasn't going to be ready in time. And they said, all right, well, screw you with your rain delay. We'll just send this thing to Tampa. They had it! Choked on building it in a timely fashion due to some inclement weather. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. What are we doing? It's rain.
It has rained in L.A. What shall we do?
Lose the Super Bowl. That is an expensive drizzle. But, again, buckle up, Tampa. Man, many a good man is going to make his way to Tampa expecting to do only good things, wholesome things, and leave there in handcuffs. Tampa does it.
Speaking of expensive drizzles, did you see that Martavis Bryant is likely going to be reinstated into the NFL's good graces?
I thought there was going to be a NASCAR Dick Trickle reference there, but nicely done. Instead, it's Martavis Bryant. Yes. Clemson's own, right?
That is correct. It's his last chance. So he better keep it together. He says he's completely changed everything about the way he lives. So hopefully that's the case because that guy can play.
Oh, no, he's a baller. Was his substance of choice weed? Or is it something stronger?
Unclear. However,
I would think it's got to be something stronger than weed, man.
Here's why I think it is something stronger.
Got to be.
Because the article that is referring to him being back in the fold for OTAs and all that stuff, so he had his first media availability, says his weight is up 10 pounds from where it was when he last played.
Ooh.
But his quickness is still all there.
So I'm knocking the hell out of the mic. So my man was just getting after some sniffle-iffling.
Why would that be prominently placed in the first article that he's
it's well
back?
done, by the way. No, he can play, and you would hate to see him throw away his career over that. So I do. I'm rooting for him. I hope he's got it together. And, obviously what he was doing was only hurting himself and his team for that matter, but mainly him.
Well, I mean, the Steelers have a lot of receivers. They got Sammy Coates, and they just drafted Juju Smith-Schuster to go along with Antonio Brown. So if they want to send him on down to Tampa,
down, baby.
Reclamation project.
Just like the Super Bowl. No, he can't get any trouble in Tampa.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Has been ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
The next generation of power is at the Home Depot, and it's found in Ryobi One Plus tools. Right now during Ryobi Days, buy a Ryobi One Plus lithium-ion compact drill driver kit and get another select Ryobi One Plus tool free, a $79 value. The same battery runs both tools, plus over 70 other One Plus tools. So drill it, drive it, cut it, and save. During Ryobi Days, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid 5/18 through 6/22.
If there's one thing the pros at Advance know, it's parts.
Advance Auto Parts and Batteries. Craig can help you.
Hey, Craig, I need an oil change. Just wondering if you had any deals.
Yes, we have 5 quarts of Castrol Edge with a K&N filter for $22.99.
That's a good deal. Castrol Edge is good stuff, right?
Absolutely. Helps the performance of hard-working engines.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, you can't get better protection.
Wow, even better.
Now at Advance Auto, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge or high-mileage full synthetic and a K&N oil filter for just $22.99 after mail-in rebate. See store for details, also at participating CarQuest stores.
We lead busy lives. That's why Superlube offers quick and convenient service with no appointment necessary at any of our 19 area locations. And remember, Superlube offers a free top-off service between oil changes, checking and topping off fluids, and tire pressure. But did you know that right now when you buy one wiper blade, you get one free, just in time for Tallahassee's rainy season? Superlube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
How I love to Superlube my car. Yes, sir.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. We start with reality television. Last night, Tallahassee's very own David Ross earned a perfect score 40 out of 40 during the 3-month competition of Dancing with the Stars. He's one of 3 finalists on the reality television show, joining former Jaguar running back Rashard Jennings. How about the sales contract of Babe Ruth, forged in December 1919, sent the pitcher and the slugger from the Boston Red Sox to the Yankees, now being auctioned by Lelands.com. NBA, the Warriors off to the NBA Finals. They sweep the Spurs 129-115 last night. Manu Ginobili of the Spurs may have played his last game, has not officially announced his retirement. Game 4 of the Celtics and Cavs tonight in Cleveland. Cavs up 2-1. And O.J. Simpson has a parole hearing in July. If he is granted parole, he could be released from prison as early as October.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio, and a fine Lawn Maintenance Tuesday to you and yours. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do, remember, we've got you covered. All 3 hours are posted upon the conclusion of the program every day. both to iTunes and our own audio vault. That is done with limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great sponsor, Southland Commercial, SVN, Carlton Dean. Represent the entire state. They've got the resources and the knowledge, the know-how, and the information to help you make money in commercial real estate. Find out more. Go to carltondean.com. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. The WTSM app works for all your devices, mobile devices, and, of course, if you watch the show on YouTube, hello. Just type in ESPN Tallahassee, and you'll find us on YouTube. So that's how that works. Yeah, Tampa gets the Super Bowl. Big news of the day, I guess, regarding that. Sad news of the day in the sports world, anyhow. Cortez Kennedy, the NFL Hall of Fame defensive tackle and in the Ring of Honor at the University of Miami, has passed away at the age of 48. Just hard to imagine. I knock on wood that is – so far what they've reported, just natural causes. And, it's funny. It's kind of a state of the game and a situation surrounding the game. I'll be honest with you. In addition to feeling some sadness that Cortez Kennedy, who I watched play at Miami and on into the NFL, when the announcement came down that he had died at the age of 48, these days, Tom, and I'm not being in any way cynical, I don't think. I think a lot of us, first thought goes to, I wonder if there were problems related to his time in the NFL or playing football in general. I mean, we've had enough of these kinds of situations now where former greats and high-profile players have died at an early age by their own hand, and you come to find out that it perhaps is an effect, a result of something that happened on the playing field. So I hope that's not the case, but I do worry about it every time I hear about a person who played a long time in the league and played college football and dies before the age of 50.
Yeah, certainly playing in the trenches. I don't think it's an insensitive thing. It's just the truth. When you said, did you hear Cortez Kennedy died this afternoon? In the office, I said, no. You said he was 48. Suicide? That's the first thing, honestly, it's the first thing I think of at this point. But then he said, no, he was a lineman, because I don't remember much of his NFL career.
Yeah, I saw all of his career. This one kind of hits me a little bit. I'm not saying that, look, I'm not even being nostalgic here. Just I remembered him at the end of my senior year. I was playing high school football, and you're looking at the guys that are at the end of or in college at that time. And of course, Miami won the national championship in 1989, unfortunately. But he was a big part of that, and those teams were great. There's no getting around that, and he was a big part of that. And I remember him prominently, and of course, paid attention to his career in the NFL because he was so good and because he was a guy that you knew was going to have an impact wherever he went. And I remember all of his career, and it's just sad to see somebody pass at 48.
How long do you think it would take before the NFL gets to a place where that's not the first thought? Because I don't think I'm alone. I don't think you're alone. I think most people, when they hear the age of a player and they hear that he's dead, and they don't expect it. There wasn't – even CTE can present some real difficulties when it comes to motor disorders.
Right.
I mean, we've seen that happen where guys, they've gone public, they talk about the struggle they've had in their lives post-football, and they have a degenerative disorder of some sort that's going to take their life. And so it's coming. So when it happens, it's just the culmination of that story. And, sadly, in many cases, it starts with CTE.
Yeah.
But in this case, how long will it take before, that's the first thing we think of? Because from a cold-blooded PR perspective, anytime somebody who was a legend of the game or a notable player,
it's the first thing you think of now.
They die before age 50, 55, it's the first thing you think about. And that's not good for the sport, and that's not good for a reputation where they're trying to flip youth participation. They're trying to flip it back in the right direction, the positive direction, so that the game can propagate. But they've got a long road ahead to change minds and hearts.
I've asked that question or something similar to it to Dr. Burkhart at TOC, and he works with FSU and other schools around the South and really all over the country. And, again, Florida State is fortunate, and I think we are too as a community, to be able to access that if you have kids going into youth sport, to have baseline testing done. I know this sounds like an ad, but it's a true thing. I mean, they do that at TOC, and the neuroscientists, you're able to do those studies. And I've said, look, at some point it seems that even though we've come an awful long way, you're never really going to be able to say that football is safe. But I don't think you need to, and that's part of the larger discussion we've had. You have to accept that it's not, and then be doing the things that allow you to recover from the kinds of injuries you may or may not suffer when you play football before going back onto the field, so that the long-term damage and effects we see that lead to these kinds of early deaths, and again, to be clear, we don't know what happened with Cortez Kennedy. Right now they're saying nothing suspicious. I think we would have heard if it were a suicide by now. So I don't know what happened. He may have just had a heart attack. Who knows? But anyhow,
it's about where our mind goes.
It's about where our mind goes, and that is where it goes. I think if they're able to show over a long period of time, so the question is how long? 20 or 30 years, Tom, because I think a generation of kids are going to have to come along, play the sport, and again, it's all about relative safety. I mean, you can break your arm, you can shatter your leg, but people are willing to accept those kinds of risks when they play physical sports. We're talking about long-term effects of brain injury, which is much different. That's when, you don't know who you are when you're 50, and that's stuff that people aren't willing to accept. Just like in auto racing, you accept that when you race around a track at 200 miles per hour, you could die. But what you won't accept is that the cars are made shabbily and you're not protected to the max as you engage in that activity with seatbelts and various safety harnesses and so forth. So what they've done now over the years is accept that concussion is part of the injury list common to football. And for years, they were in denial of that, and they even went as far as to lie about it and endanger their employees and get sued because of it, and the after effects we're continuing to read about on a weekly basis. Now that they've accepted, meaning the NFL, the players, the doctors are all educated enough to know these are the precautions we have to take. There are actual methods with which we can cure you and hold you out until your brain is healthy enough to engage in the activity again without risking concussions on top of concussions. These subconcussive blows are what lead to these, the brain injuries we read about oftentimes. So if you can play a career of football, you can play in high school and in college, and say have a 10-year career in the NFL, and guys go on to live into their 70s and 80s, and they're not really showing signs of these problems, then yeah, a generation of players will have come and gone and played the game with relative safety and not had brain injury because they properly treated it whenever they suffered a concussion. Then yes, the league can survive. If that doesn't happen, football is not going to be a terribly popular sport 40 and 50 years from now.
I think there are a couple of separate questions. Like, first of all, the TOC Concussion Center, the baseline stuff, I was privy to him talking to you about, bringing your kids in. That's right. It. They could take a direct blow to the head playing soccer or
it happens a lot in soccer,
baseball.
Yes.
Yeah, but soccer especially. You land on the ground or an elbow to the head, whatever. Two heads colliding going up for
headers
a ball.
In general. Yeah.
Headers in general.
Yeah.
So if you have a baseline, you can go in from there, no matter what the sport is. But football, there's just a different stigma to it, and rightly so.
Because they screwed up.
Yes, but there's also the press is never good for it, no matter what side you come out on. For example, a couple of days ago, Calvin Johnson talking about, in his retired life, how he didn't like the way the Lions front office treated him as he was going to retire and in post-retirement. But then he also brought up, by the way, that, I lied about concussions. I hid them from the team. So I'd rather have played and I'd rather have participated than deal with concussion. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, if you're admitting that you're having concussions to yourself, I think there's a lying to yourself kind of part to this. If you're admitting to yourself that you have concussions, then you're admitting that you have an increased risk of this type of insidious condition that reduces you to a vegetable and kills you by the time you're 50 or 55. So there's the pride element.
Right.
I don't think it's a sweeping generalization to say that men have a bigger problem with going to the doctor in general. Mm-hmm. Sure. Not just men who are on the sidelines on Sundays.
This is all part of the larger discussion about prostate cancer and colon cancer.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're already, men have a problem with that before we're NFL athletes. But then the ones who are NFL athletes and that have 52 other guys counting on them on a weekend and questioning their toughness, they have to clear a secondary hurdle beyond their own pride. It's also
getting
the
rid
idea
of the stigma that comes with concussion is a big deal, or injury for that matter in general. I do think that today's younger players will gladly sit out with symptoms of concussion and not feel as if they're letting anybody down. That is a newer aspect and a I would think, learned approach to playing the game.
I think that's the twofold process that the sport has to go through. One is to convey successfully to the players that you're not letting your teammates down.
And you're not
if you're
soft if you're worried
Yes.
about the long-term effects of concussion and playing with brain injury. I mean, that stands to reason and seems like common sense, but I think for a lot of guys, you're right, in a machismo culture, and you just think, well, they need me this Sunday, and I got it. I played football, loved the game, and you're right, it's a big part of it. You get your ass out there and play with that broken left pinky. But I think these days people certainly would understand that while if you didn't play through that kind of an injury, we might question your toughness. Rib injuries, we'd question your toughness, whatever it might be. You got a brain injury. I mean, all bets are off, and everybody should probably have a pretty good understanding now that's not something you can toy with. Even if you wanted to, you can't.
So number one, you got to convey that to the players. But then number two, you got to convey to the public somehow in an artful PR kind of way that the sport isn't for everybody to play, that it's not safe. I mean, but it's important that the league says that and drives that message home. What we aim to do at Place 60 or whatever, institution they want to throw out there is to put you in the best possible position with the best possible training to stay away from long-term repeated injury. It's about repeated concussions. That's the problem. It's not about suffering one. It's about suffering repeated and untreated concussions. And then two, we're going to put you in the best possible position with, training of how to tackle and how to properly execute technique.
Yeah, heads up and all that stuff.
Right. But that's a big uphill climb for the sport. Concussions aren't necessarily the bad guy by themselves. It's concussions in football that are married together in a negative way.
But again, that's because they engaged in a form of cover-up and got caught. And so there is a nefarious nature to that and a distrust from the higher-ups that run the National Football League. And any kind of concern they may convey regarding their employees is deemed, and I think rightfully, based on 40 to 50 years' worth of evidence, it is looked upon with a jaundiced eye. It is thought that it is insincere. It is thought that, frankly, those aren't real human concerns. Those are words to say from a PR standpoint, but not actions to take. And that's because the league engaged in that behavior for decades upon decades. And then when confronted with overwhelming evidence in the face of devastating tragedy, like the tobacco companies, they chose to sit in court and lie about it. And I remember us having this conversation nearly 10 years ago and saying, it's the wrong take, man. It's the wrong tack. That's going to come back to haunt you. If you expect this thing to survive, you've got to own it. You got to say, our predecessors, you've got to somehow deflect and then from there accept responsibility for what's taken place, do the best you can by those players that came before you and institute new policy and try to be at the forefront of change. You're talking about different types of stuff, but baseball, for example, all those years of denying steroid use and making a mockery of the statistics, which are hallowed in the sport, that was the wrong approach, too. Once you realized we got a problem, and it's rampant, and there are players who feel pressure to do this, and there are people in the Players Union willing to stand up and say, we need to make changes to the rules. Owners and players have to come to an understanding that this involves safety and, obviously, the record books, and let's make a change and not use this as a bargaining tool. Well, that didn't happen for a long time, and baseball got clubbed from a PR standpoint time and again. It was thought that their rules changes and the implementation of those rules and the effectiveness of those rules were rather, at the very least, limited in their scope. And what ended up happening was finally the overhaul was massive. And they went all in and said, well, that's it. We're going 50, 100 piece. You're done for life.
But even still, if a 35-year-old hits 30 home runs, we go, yeah, right.
Oh, and there, yes, the after effects, the staining, if you will, of the sport and the players in it, without question, We look at a guy who has a superhuman year, who may just be the best player in the game, and thus he has the best statistics in the game because somebody has to be the best. That person is never looked upon as being on the up and up. Not completely. I mean, we want to believe it. I tend to root for guys because I'd like to see it be the case. But do I think Mike Trout, who's clearly the best player in baseball, is on steroids? No. Do I think he's not? No. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I certainly look now upon every one of those Herculean streaks that he goes on where he has a month for the ages, literally. And I go, either he's really freaking good, which he is, or he's really freaking good coupled with steroids. Could be both. Could be none. Could be, I mean, that's got to be so aggravating for those guys. And it's a stain that will stay with the sport for an awful long time because the era lasted for a very long time and the powers that be were in denial. In the NFL, we don't even care if guys use steroids. In fact, we accept that they probably, to some extent, mostly are. And we go, okay, well, that's just the nature of that sport. It's a gladiatorial sport, as I say all the time, and so be it. That's fine. We'll live with that. And really, the punishments are not very harsh for steroids in that sport. Guys get suspended 3 games, and they come back. You're like, whatever. My defensive end, I hope you're still back on the juice. Just do a better job of hiding it. But the concussion stuff, they were in denial with forever. And that really surprises me. It's really sad. Now they've come around on it, of course, I think for the most part. And that change is just beginning. So I guess 20 to 30 years, Tom, to answer your question. Very long-winded way to answer it, but I think 20 to 30 years.
Well, we're, 20 minutes closer. And that's not a dig.
No, I just – there is some irreparable damage that has been done because – the willingness, I think, of mothers and fathers to allow their younger children to participate and tackle football has been altered forever. That's probably a good thing. Not everybody, as you said, needs to play football. I mean, look, man, if your dad's 5'7", and your mom's 5 feet, and the biggest person in your family is 150 pounds, you may want to look into some other sports. Football's fun, and I'm not saying you can't play. I'm just saying the future's not bright for you in that sport.
Maybe you're a striker,
maybe,
not a center or a defensive tackle.
Yeah, maybe you need to be playing sports like baseball, like tennis, like soccer, like whatever, that you have an opportunity that if you fall in love with it and show an acumen for it, you actually have a chance to get a scholarship in and go on and play in college. And if you're really lucky and part of the 1%, maybe you go to the league. You ain't going to the NFL at that size. I mean, it's not happening. So maybe you need to let it go.
I think what's fascinating here, beyond the discussion itself, is you're that consumer right now. You and Christy are making those decisions right now because these 3-4 years for Bryson Clark are going to help determine what sport they focus on if they care to focus on one sport. But you're going to help govern that as you let go of the back of the bicycle, so to speak, and they start pedaling. And you're going to say, nope, can't go down this road, but you can go down these other 3.
Well, and it's funny, in growing up playing sports, and I tried to play everything because I loved sports, and my whole neighborhood did. We were always outside, and we played pickup basketball and baseball and soccer, and I played tennis, and I played football, and I played everything. And just you wanted to play everything because whatever the season was, you played it, right? And it's funny that it's all come kind of full circle. There was a stretch there where people just hyper-focused on a sport, and it was thought that specialization was the way to go. And kids started younger and began to focus sooner than they did in my era. And now many of the guys that went on to play pro sports or have a measure of success, those are the guys that will say, no, I played everything. Go back and play everything. It's good for you. One sport can help the other, and you don't burn out, Don't burn out too soon. You don't suffer injury for repetitive motion of the same body parts playing the same sport all the time.
Work at everything,
Yeah. So work at everything, find balance in your life, get better at it, come back around in that way, and that's the healthy balance. But, one of the things that I always thought was the parents who forbade their kids from playing a particular sport were guaranteeing that kid was going to try to play that sport. So you have to be very careful along those lines of saying, hey, I'll support you in anything you play, because as a parent, that's what you do, right? But in the back of your mind, you're like, please don't choose football. Please don't. You don't need to play football. You don't need to play football. But I never tell them they can't play football. So I'm knocking on wood that day doesn't come where they go, hey, I want to play football. Because I'm still on the fence about my kids. Well, how about this? From what I understand of the medical science and the conversations that I have been lucky enough to have with people like Dr. Scott Burkhardt, and even Jimbo Fisher has alluded to this, which also can't be necessarily good for the growth of the game. The idea that you need to be playing tackle football, I'm not judging people who let their kids do that, or I'm not even saying don't do that. All I'm saying is that there's enough evidence now that suggests it's maybe not a good thing, and that by the time you want to play, if you really want to play, and that itch still persists later in your youth, the first time you play tackle can be in high school, and you'll be fine. You don't have to hit when you're 8 and 9 and 10 years old. And again, if you choose to do that, that's fine. I have friends whose kids do play tackle football. That's fine. But it's not for everybody, and enough people now look at that medical science and say, I'm going to hold off. You want to play flag? The rise of flag football, by the way, once thought to be sissified, if you will, by most in the machismo culture, is crazy. I mean, flag football didn't exist in my youth. I mean, it didn't happen. You played it in PE maybe. That way the girls could play with the boys. Literally. That's why you played flag football. The thought of boys playing flag football in a league, frankly, would have been scoffed at, and any number of negative terms would have been used. It's everywhere. I mean, I know so many kids and parents who have their kids, which is fine because you can learn the skill set required to play the skill positions in flag football and have fun doing it. And then when it's time to put on the pads and suit up, take it on down the road to high school, maybe this is the first time you introduce it. And even then, there's debate about that. But I'm saying I think people are going to get older and older and before they decide to put on the pads. I do believe I think that's just happening. We're seeing that. And the long-term effects of that, Tom, on the sport certainly probably aren't good, because we know that if you indoctrinate a kid into a sport, whether it's baseball or basketball or anything else, early in their life, they're likely to stay with it and become a fan of it and invest in it and become lifetime consumers in this case, or, obviously patrons. And if they don't, they don't. I mean, if you didn't grow up playing such and such,
Sure.
you don't suddenly turn 30 and decide I want to be a big fan of such and such.
Oh, man, I'm proof positive of that. I grew up in the Tampa Bay area when hockey was a brand new sport. I grew up playing the sport, and that's probably the sport I'm most passionate about when you talk about looking at the entire league.
Right.
I can watch a game of two teams except Nashville and Anaheim, but I can watch a game of most any two teams and enjoy the hell out of it. But, I mean, 10 years earlier, if I had grown up in Tampa Bay, there's no chance. There's no chance. It's because I went to the games. It's
Right.
because I played the sport.
Oh,
I would have never played the sport or never gone to a single game if I grew. My parents would have put on the Rangers game, and I would say, can we put on something else?
Sure. And
You
kids
know?
who didn't grow up with hockey at all, they certainly look at the game and think it's terribly confusing, doesn't translate
In
on
this area?
television. Yeah.
Shoot.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's definitely what you grow up playing. I mean, further proof of that, I grew up playing tennis. I'm one of the last holdouts. A tennis tournament, literally, it could be the Lipton, could be on. If I'm flipping around, I'll watch it. But I grew up playing it and loved it and I knew, it wasn't that I knew the top 5, I knew the top 50. I watched number 47, play number 41, and I could see the value in it. But if you don't grow up playing something, you don't see the value in that. You'd watch two sub-500 hockey clubs face one another in a middle of the season game that probably isn't going to have much bearing on the postseason. Because you love hockey, you'll watch that.
Yeah,
you'll find a reason, an angle, a player, something, a coach.
Yeah, Florida Panthers, Jaromir Jagr a couple years ago. I mean, that team wasn't going to the playoffs,
Yeah.
but that dude's almost
He's a
50,
beast. It's
and he's
crazy
a
out
beast.
there watching and playing.
And I want to say that I watched that guy as long as he's playing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
The very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532.
Get to JCPenney and celebrate savings at our Memorial Day sale. Save up to 35% with major appliance hot deals on your favorite brands like GE, Samsung, and LG. Plus, 30-month special financing on purchases of $7.99 or more with your JCPenney credit card. Plus, free delivery and basic installation on all appliance purchases over $2.99. Save on major appliances now at JCPenney. That's getting your pennies worth. GEG, Profile, GE Cafe, and higher limited to 10% off savings. Available in select stores. Some exclusions apply. Financing terms valid 5/17 to 6/7. Subject to credit approval. Must request at time of purchase. Minimum monthly payments required. See store or jcp.com/appliances for details.
The next generation of power is at the Home Depot, and it's found in Ryobi One Plus tools. Right now during Ryobi Days, buy a Ryobi One Plus lithium-ion compact drill driver kit and get another select Ryobi One Plus tool free, a $79 value. The same battery runs both tools, plus over 70 other One Plus tools. So drill it, drive it, cut it, and save. During Ryobi Days, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid 5/18 through 6/22.
ESPNTallahassee.com.
Who are these nerds?
This is Tallahassee's Sports Authority, 97.9 ESPN Radio. This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it's here. Kraft Nissan's Memorial Day Summer Kickoff with additional holiday incentives of $500 to $1,000 along with 0% interest for 72 months on 11 models. This is our biggest sale of the year with up to $3,000 off Versa, Sentra, and Frontier, up to $4,000 off the best-selling Rogue, $5,000 off Muranos, up to $6,000 off Altimas, and $7,000 off Maximas. Plus, trade in your Toyota or Honda and receive an additional $1,000 on your trade. And in honor of our veterans and Memorial Day, Kraft Nissan has a military program that gives you our best price plus an additional $500, $750, or $1,000 depending on the model you choose. Finally, let Kraft Nissan add to your summer fun with a free 5-day, 4-night cruise for two with any purchase. And as always, Kraft Nissan's exclusive free lifetime warranty on every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles. Tallahassee is officially a Nissan town because Kraft Nissan gives you more value for your dollar. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Almost coughed. At Jay Cameron Show, surprised at your position. Our friend Dr. Burkhardt is adamant that you shouldn't be afraid of your kid playing. Writes JJ. Yeah, especially if they've had those baseline tests done and concussions that they suffer or could suffer are treated properly. Sure, that is the approach taken now that wasn't in yesteryear, that it would allow for somebody to play football in a safer way. I agree that he is in favor of that, just as we now know a lot more about the impact of concussions, the long-term effects of concussions, and that most of the time, if properly treated, traumatic brain injuries, if you will, they would be considered mild traumatic brain injuries, MTBIs, are the kinds of injuries that you can suffer, heal, come back from, and not have long-term problems. But they also know that in kids, the developing brain is still an ongoing research, and so much so that they look at young males, for example, still developing various parts of their brain on into their 20s. And I think we don't know long-term exactly what that's going to yield as we continue to focus on these kinds of studies. And I think that you just have to decide what's a proper risk for your kid or not, and that's each individual.
Yeah, there's a nuance there.
Yeah.
That you might not be afraid of concussion injury thanks to the treatments available.
Yeah, actual treatment as opposed to just
But
rest.
that's not necessarily going to rule out that any, repeated trauma to the head, if you're playing tackle football, not concussion, but repeated blows to the head,
Right.
might in some way impact your development,
Well,
the development of your brain. If you don't have to in soccer, for example, you don't have to go through a header drill and take 60 consecutive soccer balls off your dome. Why would you then?
Well, the young brain is more susceptible. It's not fully developed and more vulnerable to injury. We do know that. That alone is something that maybe would cause you to consider not playing football. Maybe it wouldn't. That's up to you. I mean, you have to decide. I played football, and I'm fine. I think I'm fine. I've had no long-term effects. I don't know of a concussion that I ever suffered. So, I'm all right. I know some others, parents who let their kids play, and their kid's not even 12 years old, and they've had 3. I mean, I don't think I'd continue to let them play at that point. That's just me. But we also know that a third of all adults who have sustained a concussion, will report persistence of symptoms, and we don't know what percentage of children have a persistence of symptoms years and years later. We're still studying that, so there's so much of the unknown there. And you're talking about the brain. We're not talking about a bad shoulder, and so I think there's enough of a question mark out there, and there are enough concerns, and we're having the larger discussion. This is less, JJ, about whether or not you let your kid play or I let my kid play, and more about the PR effects the NFL has suffered because of their denial for years and years and years of the long-term effects of concussion and those employees that suffered from those, and that they denied care and didn't help out and whatever else that we get into the discussion about on a regular basis regarding ownership and what the NFL's responsibility is to the players or isn't.
It's the whole point of marketing to begin with, and this is, again, looking at it from the cold perspective. It's about association. What do you associate brand X with? Is it with success? Is it with money? Is it with power? Those types of things. A Ferrari has a different type of association in your brain than, a Civic does. There's
definitely.
Yes, different things pop up in your head right away. And so what is it going to take for the NFL from a marketing standpoint, from a public relations standpoint, and an association standpoint to get away from the fact that if you tell me that a 48-year-old or 49-year-old football player is dead, that I don't think, was it suicide? Was it trauma to the brain? Was it, something related to his playing days and not something that would have happened to him had he not played football?
Well, and especially guys of the previous era and the one before it. Certainly anybody you saw play in the 70s or early 80s, you think, gosh, it was the wild, wild west in terms of the rules hadn't been changed, the kinds of hits you see in the highlight reels from those days in which penalties aren't even called, targeting didn't exist. I mean, rarely did they even throw flags for players who used the crown of their helmet as a weapon, which was defined even then as a penalty. We've seen the quote-unquote glory days and watched Dick Butkus and others make tackles routinely that would have them thrown out of today's game. So we know those players, you think about the effects in the long term. As soon as we read about one of them dying, we think CTE immediately. And we're almost always right about that, by the way. Less and less are we finding out that we're not correct in assuming that.
Yeah, the correlation is a bit of an issue,
yeah.
too. At least on the surface, it might appear to be.
Yeah. But now, where we get into the gray area is, post that time and the acceptance of and knowledge that you have to properly treat these things and that there are means to treat these injuries and heal these injuries in a way that allow guys to come back and actually have a fruitful career and not suffer long-term effects. We've moved into that era, or at least we're moving closer to it, where that seems to be something that is in play too. And the more of those kinds of careers that play out, as we were saying, in which injuries are suffered, they're an understood risk of those participating in the sport. Those injuries are treated just like everything else. A bad leg, a bad arm, whatever it might be, healed fully before you go back onto the field. You have a career, you call it a day, and you're not 40-something years old giving an interview telling people that you can't remember what you ate yesterday. You're able to say, I have no regrets. Thankfully, in the era I played in, when you suffered a concussion, they held you out. They pulled you off the field. They had a spotter in the sky that recognized you, called it down via radio and got your ass off the field. And no matter how often you wanted to go back out there, they said, no, they took your damn helmet, because that's the era we play in now. So they've taken the proper steps. Now, coming on the other side of that era, that hasn't happened yet. We need enough people to go through the process and give us some definitive answers.
Unless you're Case Keenum, at which point he's going to say, there was a spotter in the sky. They didn't care.
And I got slung around like a sack of potatoes, could barely stand up. The free world saw it and left me out there like a buffoon to be battered and beaten some more.
I was Raggedy Andy.
That was nuts. And I'm glad you brought it up, because I want to go back and watch it during this break. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic, backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
East Super Center in Thomasville, Georgia, and Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
The next generation of power is at the Home Depot, and it's found in Ryobi One Plus tools. Right now during Ryobi Days, buy a Ryobi One Plus lithium-ion compact drill driver kit and get another select Ryobi One Plus tool free, a $79 value. The same battery runs both tools, plus over 70 other One Plus tools. So drill it, drive it, cut it, and save during Ryobi Days, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid 5/18 through 6/22.
If there's one thing the pros at Advance know, it's parts.
Advance Auto Parts and Batteries. Craig can I help you.
Hey, Craig, I need an oil change. I was wondering if you had any deals.
Yes, we have 5 quarts of Castrol Edge with a K&N filter for $22.99.
That's a good deal. Castrol Edge is good stuff, right?
Absolutely. Helps the performance of hard-working engines.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, you can't get better protection.
Wow, even better.
Now at Advance Auto, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge or high mileage full synthetic and a K&N oil filter for just $22.99 after mail-in rebate. See store for details, also at participating CarQuest stores.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna, I-10, exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. We start with reality television. Last night, Tallahassee's very own David Ross earned a perfect score 40 out of 40 during the 3-month competition of Dancing with the Stars. He's one of 3 finalists on the reality television show, joining former Jaguar running back Rashard Jennings. How about the sales contract of Babe Ruth, forged in December 1919, sent the pitcher and the slugger from the Boston Red Sox to the Yankees, now being auctioned by Lelands.com. NBA, the Warriors off to the NBA Finals. They sweep the Spurs 129-115 last night. Manu Ginobili of the Spurs may have played his last game, has not officially announced his retirement. Game 4 of the Celtics and Cavs tonight in Cleveland. Cavs up 2-1. And O.J. Simpson has a parole hearing in July. If he is granted parole, he could be released from prison as early as October.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, right? Florida State, Notre Dame. Assuming they take care of business. Can't always do that in baseball, but I'm going to go ahead and give them a win there. If you're wondering how this all works, here's the deal. Somebody might say, Jeff, what the hell is the tiebreaker? The higher-seeded team, if everybody goes 1-1, the higher-seeded team moves on. End of story. That's that. Pretty simple, straightforward. You have to go 2-0, basically, to move on in the ACC tournament. So Florida State needs to win these 2 games, and they'll move on. If they don't, they won't. That's that.
2 opportunities, though, and if you take advantage of those, then you have a third opportunity to further bolster the resume for the unlikely Tallahassee Regional next weekend. That'd be something.
Wouldn't it be? I'm hoping, of course, that this happens, as that is kind of a tradition that is unique to Tallahassee and a lot of fun. And the fact that it's always been something we could almost count on shows just how spoiled we are and how consistent they've been. But I've spent the better part of, 5 weeks assuming that wasn't going to happen this year, and all of a sudden there's a outside shot it could.
Just keep it going tomorrow. By the time we hit the air at 3 o'clock, take care of business, and then set up what is it's not a de facto game for the regional. You'd have to do it a little bit more, I think, than just beat Louisville on Friday. But it sets up an all-important matchup with Louisville on Friday, where we're not talking about crazy things anymore, like getting swept up on the road in your final ACC series and maybe missing the postseason altogether. Right. That's out the window.
Yeah, it is well out the window now. And now all thoughts are just how far can you go with a pretty potent offense and, an emerging star on the hill whose consistency has, at times been missing this year, but as of late have been incredible. Yeah, it's a different level of hope than we had just a week or two ago, and it's all brought on by not just the offense, but actual victories on the field at a place where teams haven't gone and won, like Louisville, where they stay up this week and hopefully garner some more wins, as you're saying. Now, moving forward, here you go. An aside. I was smiling at something that Bill Conley wrote for SB Nation, and he has got a piece entitled Conley for Commissioner, Bring Back the Video Game, as point number 4. EA Sports NCAA Football Series, one of the most beloved video game series ever, and in its absence, the love has only grown stronger. Why isn't it currently in production? Let's review. EA nixed the game after NCAA Football 14's release in 2013. Can you believe it's been that long? I cannot.
My heart, it's hurting still.
The franchise was embroiled in a legal controversy over EA and the NCAA's profits off amateur likenesses, which appeared in the game even as college sports governing body wouldn't allow the players to be paid. Both the NCAA and EA have faced legal action stemming from the lack of player compensation, and players began to get settlement checks in the mail. There's tons of money to be made on the game's return, but the powers that be will need to figure out some way to share the wealth with players without the NCAA ruling anybody ineligible. More from EA's former chief operating officer, Pete Moore, via Polygon's Owen Good. NCAA football became the lightning rod for bigger issues regarding college athletes getting paid for their performance, not only in football, but all college sports, and their likeness. It was a sad day when we realized we are on the sites of a number of lawsuits, a number of athletes, which were all combined eventually into a singular suit, and said, that's me. It got to a point, Moore suggested, where EA had to spend more on legal fees from the game than it would have earned in revenue. That's ultimately always going to be the decision maker. One of his first goals will be, Bill Conley that is, for athletes to make money off their likenesses via the Olympic model, which means schools themselves wouldn't necessarily have to pay them money. We just need to make it possible for EA to pay them money. That's Electronic Arts. And it'd likely only need to be a small fee per player based on how many of them there are and the size of the payments they received from the previous wave of court battles. That alone closes some of the legal issues that led to EA Sports deciding it wasn't worthwhile to produce the series. In other words, it would take us about halfway towards getting NCAA football back. That's not the only obstacle, of course, as I continue to read from Conley's piece. Licensing issues are funky in college football. To some degree, individual schools, conferences, bowls, etc. have to sign on to be included, though there is also a collective licensing body. Some conferences talked about opting out of a revival of the game in the NCAA's legal cloud. They would be allowed to do so under my plan, though it would be a bit of a recruiting disadvantage if players could go to a rival and not only play as themselves in a video game, but make a little money from doing so. He's right. Licensing aside, there are logistics. How do athletes sign away their likenesses? Is it part of their scholarship agreement? Is this going through the school at all, or does EA go through individual players? Maybe a players' association begins to form or something along those lines. Regardless, know this, when I'm in charge, writes Conley, it's coming back. Well, and this is all fun of, you can go read the other stuff as part of Conley for Commissioner of College Football. Jimbo's for a Commissioner of College Football, that's for sure. We ever see that game again?
Yes, we do.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
There's money to be made for all parties. That's why I think we see it again. It can happen.
I think at some point, remember the talk forever. I can remember this when I first started as an intern. A college football playoff will never exist. Remember that? But there was way too much money to be made. Now, this won't be the same level of dollars, but it's enough that if universities are in, what kind of matches with each other when it comes to conference revenues and regionality. For Florida State, for example, they're competing against Florida and the money that Florida's bringing in year to year. It's the conversation we're having about the ACC network versus the SEC network and linear channels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the one that's coming right around the corner.
If you can be on the level with your rival and you get to pitch to a kid that you get to play as yourself on a video game.
Hell yeah.
Man, it's pleasing to the kid. The kids love it. They always talked about it. It was one of the few questions or first questions we'd ask, rather.
Who wouldn't love that?
When, who's the NCAA football player? When times got slow in spring football, we'd break out those questions like, who's the NCAA football? And I can remember Nick Moody and Terrence Parks, remember? They were They were at one point 2 safeties in our defensive backfield.
Yes, it hit your ass.
But how times have changed too.
Yep.
From a skill standpoint. But they were roommates and really good friends. So not just position mates, but they would be rivals in the NCAA video gaming field. And Nick said, Terrence Park said, ask Nick Moody about that. And Nick was a pretty, what would be
outspoken?
The word? Outspoken.
Boastful?
But no. Like Trent Williams was hulking and
intimidating.
Intimidating. There's the word.
Yeah.
Nick was an intimidating guy.
Very.
And so Terrence said, go ask him about it. So I asked Nick Moody about it. He goes, yeah, we
nervous?
play.
You got nervous?
He goes, we play. I said, oh, really? Well, who wins? He goes, I don't want to talk about it. We play. Okay. All right. But that was a point of pride. It's like, you've made it. You've made it to D1 football. You now have your own video game with yourself in it. It wouldn't take much money for the players.
No,
they
just a
want
little
a free
something.
copy of the game and maybe a couple $100.
Sure. Yeah, just something. Just a little something.
There's a lot of money there. The conferences would like it. I mean, what university wouldn't turn down that exposure too? Because if you're really good in that game, you get the A ratings and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure it does wonders for you.
Yeah.
If I'm a kid in high school and I'm playing these games and Florida
I'm not
State's
gonna be
always
Notre
an
Dame,
A
they
team,
suck.
I'm going to be Florida State. Well,
Right.
that's positive association.
Sure, and it was always fun for those kids that you're talking about. But, I talked to grown-ups that worked at Florida State that played that. I mean, coaches, that understood that game was being played and having fun with it. And, they didn't spend nearly the same amount of time that a kid would, but they would come in and see it and get a kick out of it and see the value in it, more importantly. That happened. That existed on recruiting trips. Those kinds of things existed. Those games got so advanced that a kid could be playing it as you walk into their living room and they do the flyover doke and the whole intro.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
It was incredible.
That was one of the things when we were talking about the Champions Club. And it's like, man, if EA can get the shadows right about what time shadows cast,
that's right.
You want to put the sun catchers and
I gotta
for
tell
the people
you,
sitting out there, maybe you want to angle them differently because that's where the sun's going to be.
I do have to say, though, you think you're going to miss something terribly. And I think initially probably all of us, quote-unquote, gamers who love that game did, but you find other places to go. I can't believe it's been 3 years.
I miss the hell out of that game.
Right about now, though, you really miss it because recall that it would come out so early, you'd get that game like the end of June or early July. You'd be playing that thing for a good month and a half before the season actually began.
Yeah, and then they do, and you laugh because the likenesses couldn't be perfect. They tried to mix it up just enough.
Well, yeah, I remember E.J. Manuel had dreads.
Right, exactly.
E.J. Manuel doesn't have dreads? What are we doing here?
E.J. Manuel was the last person
would
on
have
this earth who
dreads.
would have dreads.
Yeah, no, I remember that too, and laughing about it as well. But yeah, no, it's a shame. I wish the game would come back because I also remember the years before that game, and we're going back to Bill Walsh football, where it just said Tallahassee, and the colors were right, and that was about it.
You think that would be profitable now? They wouldn't.
Yeah, I think it would be profitable now. Yes, I think there is there's a contingent of people that are very much like you who are desperate to play that game, and you know what? It would bother them that you had to be Tallahassee or you had to be Gainesville or you had to be whatever instead of the university, but they would customize it if they allowed customization.
Oh yeah, well they'd release the rosters. You'd be able to download. I mean that's what they did anyway.
Yeah,
you'd wait within a couple hours because somebody would get an advanced copy of the game. Maybe they'd have a place like Games for Less in their neighborhood.
That's right.
And so they'd get
The
it a couple
great
days
Games for
early.
Less, indeed.
You'd be able to download that roster within a couple hours of the game being released, and then you'd have all the player names and numbers, everything aligned correctly the way it should be.
They do it with MLB The Show currently, which is the best sports video game, in my opinion, ever made. It is ultra realistic, and they have the same thing. You can go, certain guys end up making the team out of spring training that MLB The Show doesn't have indoctrinated into the game. They don't have them for whatever reason, or guys come over and I remember one year, if you're a Pirates fan and you're playing the Pirates, Jung Ho Gong is not on the game. Like, well, he's kind of important. He hits 20 plus home runs and starts at third, but then you could go online and find him on the roster. You know, so yeah.
Man, I'm so sorry for it. I was talking to a friend about this that I might buy Madden this year. I mean, admittedly, the Bucks probably are going to be a good video game team.
It's fun to play with Jameis.
But I'm so starved for it. I don't even know if Madden's good anymore, but I think I'm going to have to buy it for the first time.
I think it has come an awful long way. There was a stretch where for 4 or 5 years, it was the same game as it was the previous year with minor subtleties. So I think that's changed. I think partly, by the way, since you haven't played it in eons, when you sit down to play it now, you're going to go, well, good Lord. Because just basic, an understanding of offensive and defensive football, as your acumen has grown from over the years of that, and then having that incorporated in the game, you'll see that there's value in playing that game from a strategist standpoint. The graphics are incredible, but there's value now in playing that game from a strategy. Used to be they could get something close to a real NFL coach or a playbook, I should say. They've come a very long way.
Sure, you could always manipulate the safeties to drop down, even though they would be in a deep half.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
No,
know
right.
That doesn't happen anymore, you're saying.
I'm saying that's out of there. They've gotten some of the bugs out of there where you can't just fall back on certain tricks that you use to trick the computer. The artificial intelligence is pretty good now. They're like, oh, I got you. They backpedal right at the snap.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Can be taken out of a default. We can stop the wage garnishments, stop the collection calls, and stop the seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and see if we can help you reduce your student loan payments. One quick 10-minute call could solve them right now. So call the Student Loan Helpline now. 800-419-2201. 800-419-2201. 800-419-2201. That's 800-419-2201. This is a fee-based document preparation service to help you access free government programs. Call for complete details, not available in all states.
The City of Tallahassee Utilities reminds you that it'll be summertime before you know it, and summer's when we all benefit from positive environmental practices like saving energy, water, and money. Because after all, it's all connected. When your home is energy efficient, you save money on your utility bill, but you also help the environment because using less energy saves precious natural resources. Here are a few simple tips. Easy things you can do to use less energy. In the summertime, set your AC thermostat to 78 degrees and even a little higher when you're away from home. You'll be amazed at the money you'll save. Close shades, drapes, and blinds during the day. It keeps the house a lot cooler. Choose the proper AC fan setting. Put it on auto, not on. Auto saves energy, on runs continuously, and that runs into money. And while you're at it, schedule a free energy audit with the City of Tallahassee Utilities to identify low-cost and no-cost ways to make your home more energy efficient. You'll save energy, water, and money, and you'll help the environment too, because after all, it's all connected. A message from the #1 public utility in America. Learn more at talgov.com/YOU.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Don't start your day off with the same old boring breakfast. Stop by the Bagel Market and Bistro on Thomasville Road and the Persimmon Hills Shopping Plaza. They have fresh baked bagels and cream cheese every Monday for only $1.50. Green smoothies and great salads like the spinach apple salad. Muffins and cinnamon rolls are also options for breakfast. Sandwiches, salads, and more for lunch and dinner. Open 7 days a week. Check them out online at thebagelmarketandbistro.com or on Facebook and give them a call at 765-0598.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. We start with reality television. Last night, Tallahassee's very own David Ross earned a perfect score 40 out of 40 during the 3-month competition of Dancing with the Stars. He's one of 3 finalists on the reality television show, joining former Jaguar running back Rashard Jennings. How about the sales contract of Babe Ruth, forged in December 1919, sent the pitcher and the slugger from the Boston Red Sox to the Yankees, now being auctioned by Lelands.com. NBA, the Warriors off to the NBA Finals. They sweep the Spurs 129-115 last night. Manu Ginobili of the Spurs may have played his last game, has not officially announced his retirement. Game 4 of the Celtics and Cavs tonight in Cleveland. Cavs up 2-1, and O.J. Simpson has a parole hearing in July. If he is granted parole, he could be released from prison as early as October.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today on this Lawn Maintenance Tuesday. Thanks for tuning to us. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but hey, if you do, we got you covered. All 3 hours posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault upon the conclusion of the program. That's done because we have a great podcast sponsor, Southland Commercial, SVN, helping our man. Well, go to carltondean.com and find out more about how to make money and also off-market deals. Got insights for you there. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com, the email address. Keep them coming. At Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app works for your mobile devices. And you can watch us on YouTube. Hello, everybody. ESPN Tallahassee on your YouTube. That way you're caught up. Tampa gets the Super Bowl after L.A. suffers from rain. Sounds odd, right? That happens. Florida State tomorrow is set to start in the ACC tournament. That's an 11 a.m. start time. We'll be on the air after they conclude kicking the hell out of Notre Dame. We'll have an opportunity to talk about the win streak, Tom, and what's at hand with the following game, and that, too, will get exciting. Or at least it's something to look forward to at a time when we didn't think we were going to have that much to look forward to. We actually thought a couple weeks ago we'd be playing out the string.
Over under 5.5 runs necessary to win tomorrow's game against Notre Dame.
Are we rolling Cole Sands out there?
I was trying to find that information on
I probably should have
Seminoles.com.
looked before I brought it up, right?
I didn't see that information on Seminoles.com. They don't have the probables listed. They have listed out who Florida State has on the All-ACC team and how Tyler Holton was named ACC Pitcher of the Week for a record-tying 5th time in one season. But I'm not seeing who the probable is for tomorrow morning.
If it's Cole Sands, we're going to have to score over 5 because he gives up 57. No, that's a bit much. You can hear the bitterness in my voice come out as soon as I bring it up. But I am tired of watching his sorry ass get lit up every time we roll him out there as the Friday guy. And I understand that label maybe is unfair, but good Lord. Just killing us. Garbage every time. What is your problem, man? Let's get it together. The stuff's too good. I'm taking it personally. I was laughing because, you know how I told you earlier that I'm hyper-focused on college football right now instead of the NBA playoffs. We just had a series conclude rather predictably given all the injuries with Tony Parker and Kawhi Leonard out. Really nice moment at the end of that game, I suppose. Manu Ginobili's been a fun player to watch play the game. and a guy who was really kind of deceptive. And you can say that's because in your mind you've got the stereotype of a white guy that can't jump, but I always thought it was because he was a guy that wasn't that tall and yet finished around the rim.
Yeah.
With a little what for?
He'd give you some thunder.
He would dunk on your ass, and it was always sneaky. You'd be like, well, oh, damn, Mono just dunked on it. Yeah, remember that? You would always do that. You'd think he was going in for a layup every time.
That's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes in.
Ooh, Mono just dunked on your ass. Look at that. It was always kind of shocking.
And you could see the way he was gearing up this postseason that if Kawhi stayed healthy, he might have had a couple of heroic moments in forcing a 6-game series or maybe winning the Western Conference Finals. He was actually emerging as a nice complementary piece, defying age. But, Tony Parker going down and then Zaza Pachulia committing a crime. Those two things happen, and there you go.
Well, you remember, and real quick on this, that's a guy that I think is the epitome of the way the Spurs draft. That is to say, people you've never heard of that not only come in and play a role, but kick ass. And that's kind of, really, he's that guy. He's a guy you'd go, well, who is that? Who's Tony Parker? Who's so-and-so? These guys that you didn't see play in America, and thus you didn't know who they were, unless you were Fran Fraschilla. And so you didn't have any idea, and the next thing you know, they were not only playing in the NBA, but they were playing a pivotal role for a really, really successful franchise that was winning championships. So, he's kind of emblematic of what San Antonio has done in the draft over the years. And he's a guy, too, that didn't come over to play in the NBA until he was, 25? And here he is 15 years later still playing in the league. Good on you, Manu Ginobili, who I thought was done 7 years ago.
But, Kawhi Leonard also kind of qualifies as that type of guy.
He's that kind of guy.
He was
right.
drafted by the Pacers, and then he was traded along with two guys you've never heard of in exchange for George Hill. And you thought in the moment, well, good Lord, Indiana has fleeced San Antonio. No.
I guess, except for at that time you went, Popovich is probably not getting fleeced. If somebody's getting fleeced, it's probably Indiana. We just don't know it yet.
He was a good player, but yeah.
He's not Kawhi Leonard.
Oh. No, I don't think he provided the same punch, the potence.
So back to what I was telling you about not being interested in these finals or these playoffs until we get to the finals. And again, I'll come back and say that assuming that Cleveland's shocking loss and LeBron's poor performance in said shocking loss is just sort of a oversight, a one-off, a mistake, and that they go on to win the series 4-1, which I think they will. We'll get the series, and it'll be a fun series, and Golden State will win it. I do think there's something, too, when you're watching last night, the all-star team that is Golden State, that leads one to want to see Cleveland win because you don't want to see Durant or players like Durant rewarded for taking the easy way out.
Oh, it happened. It happened for me in the aforementioned Game 1 of the West Finals because
you were like, what do we do here? He can only take so much away.
Well, and let's just put it this way. Let's say that Zaza did that on purpose, just for argument's sake.
And because it looked like he did.
You don't even need to do that if you're Golden State.
You're going to win the series anyhow.
I mean, you don't have to do that.
You're going to lose Game 1, but you're going to win the series.
You're going to win the series. You didn't have to take the entertainment value out of it, and that makes it all the more really disheartening. And then the way they end up winning that game is they get a third chance three-pointer after 2 wild long rebounds, which you can't even box out for. And then Curry hits a runner that goes off the back iron about 3 feet above the rim and then drops in the cylinder.
A lot of Golden State's second chance 3-point shots are exactly that because they take so many threes and aren't afraid to do so very early in the shot clock. The long rebounds abound.
That's something that Leonard Hamilton in the past has really lamented.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're looking at the rebounded numbers, but you see how many wild,
Yeah, well, there's nothing you can do about that.
25-foot boards there are.
Right.
Especially in college basketball, that happens a lot more. But the sheer volume that Golden State shoots with.
They're going to get tons of them, and it's very aggravating.
But they are the bad guy. And what's funny is, though, that in the Cleveland-Boston series, I just wonder tonight, the number's 15.5.
I'm not giving 15.5.
I think it might be worth giving. I think it might be worth wagering.
Well, you're banking on a pissed-off LeBron deciding to come back and send the ultimate message, which, by the way, the first 2 games in Boston he did, resoundingly so, to the point where we're absolutely stunned by the emptiness of that performance in Game 3. But I don't know, man. I do think there's this idea that part of their problem was that they kind of were having their way with Boston for a prolonged period of time through the course of 2 games that they then just kind of stood down once they got an early lead, and they just didn't respect or take Boston very seriously. That mistake, you're right, won't happen again, but I don't know that they'll feel the need to exert themselves to the level that it would take to beat somebody by 15.5. Man, that's maybe you're right. I'm not touching that game.
Oh, really?
I won a lot of money. Excuse me. I did all right yesterday in some.
That's not what you do. That's not what you do.
In some wagers with the game last night. I think we knew what was going to happen there.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Can I just tell you that for the purposes of a conversation, I knew that the first quarter number was -4 and Golden State covered it. The halftime number, I think, was 7.5. Golden State covered it. And the final was also covered. So everything was covered by Golden State last
That's
night.
not what you do. Yeah. That's not what you do.
That's exactly what you do. You bank on what you know. If you got friends,
so
willing to take that investment.
I can't entice you at 15.5 for a board wager.
Well, we split in our last board wager, and I'm so far up on you still. Then I should do it just for giggles' sake and because I'm a sporting guy. I'll tell you what. Give me 18 and I'm in.
Oh, look at this, the negotiation.
It's 2.5 more points. I mean.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's just 2.5 more points. All right, well, you don't feel that confident. All right, here we go. So what I was going to tell you was that I got suckered in, and damn you, Andy Staples, for doing it. Now, I get along with Andy. Wouldn't say we're friends, but I know who he is. He certainly knows who I am. And anyhow, Andy, for those that take all that stuff seriously, those are the kinds of comments that leave that lady leaving voicemails at our work that hates me so much. I love it because she doesn't get sarcasm, and she's dumb. But she does the she literally.
Without supposing too much, those two things do kind of go.
Usually, yeah. If you don't get sarcasm, usually it's hand in hand with stupidity. Yeah. But and it's true. But she'll be like, he does not. Why does he think everybody knows who he? I bet Andy Staples. She would be that. That'll be her. It's great. So he wrote an article called "Pivot Point Games: The Matchups That Will Shape the 2017 College Football Season." And these are the kinds of articles that are written in May because you're paid by a company to write articles regarding college football at a time when college football is irrelevant. But we're all starving, so they become relevant for those of us who can't get on with our lives when college football is not part of it. And I clicked that damn story, and I was locked in, Tom Lang. But what came to mind, in addition to huge games, as Andy writes, like Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Florida State, matchups like Utah, USC, Georgia, Notre Dame define the 2017 college football season. Yeah, that's all cool. Of course, Florida State, Alabama. Early in the article, he wrote, with the NCAA's cases against Louisville, North Carolina, and Ole Miss likely to yield news in the coming months. Are we finally going to get news on both, well, really all three, but North Carolina and Ole Miss? Sweet Jesus, been waiting on that one.
Well, if they want to speed up the Louisville process, go right ahead. Put them the fast pass.
VIP pass.
VIP pass.
Nobody will get that but you and me.
Sir. Excuse me, sir.
September the 9th, Oklahoma at Ohio State. Pivot game for Oklahoma, the Big 12, and Ohio State. Georgia at Notre Dame. I'd forgotten about that game entirely.
Yeah, little South Bend action for the SEC.
I like it. I like seeing Georgia on that field against those colors. That's the right thing, right? Notre Dame, Georgia is a game where we're doing the pick out of a hat between storied programs that you'd like to see matched up that are odd.
I agree. That's in the earlier portion of the season? Is that accurate?
It is early, I think. It's
I believe it's September. I could be wrong.
I'd like to see that.
Could be way off. It could be.
Yeah, it's September 9th, right?
Oh, okay.
It's the same week. September the 16th, Tennessee at Florida. September the 30th, Georgia at Tennessee. Louisville at NC State, October the 5th. Oklahoma versus Texas in Dallas. Texas A&M at Florida. You got to go read the whole article because pivot games aren't the same as just high-profile games and all that other stuff. But it's just fun to see the matchups, just to read them aloud, just to say their names. Michigan at Penn State, October the 21st.
Georgia fans want to win. You should pay me to go to the South Bend game because I've seen the crazy finish in 2014 here, and then I saw the Texas game last year, and that was a wild one.
Washington at Stanford, November the 10th. Florida State at Clemson, November the 11th. The Noles face Alabama, NC State, and Miami in the first 4 weeks, so they'll be thoroughly tested early. Their rematch against Louisville, which crushed them last year, is October the 21st in Tallahassee. But the November trip to Death Valley should still decide the ACC Atlantic Division and might give the winner an inside track on a playoff berth. Clemson will have plenty of time to figure out its quarterback situation by that point. If this one matches the drama of last year's meeting in Tallahassee, it'll be an all-time classic. Ooh. Gotta leave you salivating.
If you could fix a month for us to play Clemson, which one would you want the Clemson game located?
Second game of the year.
Yeah?
Not given that we play Alabama the first game of the year, but yes, just early. I would have played a warm-up game and then said, let's get it on.
Oh, well,
You're
for
trying
this
to find
year.
a new quarterback.
I'm just saying in general, if you want the rivalry to be affixed in a place, where would you prefer it spaced out?
Again, you're going to have to allow me, I think, in any of those years to know what the rest of the schedule looks like.
Sure.
Or have influence over how it looks, okay? So if you just tell me that I can do that, like I'm allowed to manipulate one or two conference games, then I could put it in the same place each year, and I would be all right with that, I think. Well, I tend to lean always towards the bigger games. I'd like them played later in the year while I hold out hope that there's cooler weather. So November 11th is, while late in the year and this year, a benefit to Clemson because they can find who their quarterback's going to be and have had him play several games. I like the date, but it's too close, one would argue, to the Florida game. So I would maybe say November the 4th every year we play Clemson.
All right.
November
First
the
week
4th.
November.
First week of November, I want to play Clemson.
And then Florida's the final Saturday in November.
Yeah, almost December. So you've got a full 3 weeks. You know, you get two other opponents in there you can work in like we do this year at Delaware State or something.
This is a damn fine schedule, though, because obviously in
it's
September.
Balanced. It's you've got a nice even effect to the schedule. Alabama early, Miami early, then you get to the middle. Well, even NC State, who's got a good defense. You get to the middle portion of it, you get Louisville, then late you get Clemson and Florida. So you've got,
It's beautiful. And once you're done with NC State, you can get that win there, make sure you don't slip up. Then you have a 3-week bye. You're playing Wake on the road, bye, Duke on the road. There you go. You can take a breather, Noles fans.
Quick question for you. We taking it up on a Friday night to Alumni Stadium to see our boy Adazio take his ass kicking like a man yet again this year. We should do it. I would do it.
We're doing a lot of traveling this year.
It's about the year of travel for Florida State. It's a revenge tour.
If our fine friends with a revenge tour.
Well, we didn't have a banner year a year ago. I'm ready to get back to kicking ass.
Dazio hasn't done anything.
I don't have a problem for Dazio. He's just part of the revenge tour. He's happened to be on the schedule the same way that Syracuse hasn't done anything to us, but they got to get bent over as well. So that's life.
If we have a fine local or corporate business that wants to pay for that trip, I'll go on that trip.
Several. We're going on that trip, buddy. We're going on that trip just as we always do. This year we'll go to Legal Seafood.
And I'll order a steak.
Maybe we'll go. Now, you know what? We're definitely going to Remy's. Remy's.
No, it was Remy's.
Yeah, it's not Lemmy. Lemmy's the former lead singer of Motorhead. He's dead. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Out on the golf course, there are the obvious hazards. There's the pond, the bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples. The row of houses out of bounds on the right. The angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball. Even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Have you ever noticed when you report an accident or a claim to an insurance company, they are very eager to get you to one of their approved body shops. They say that they guarantee the shops work, but what they're really saying is the shop works for them, not the customer. So choose a shop that is working for and looking out for you, someone you trust. It's your choice. Lisa's Paint and Body.
License number MP46050.
Due to an upturn in the economy, Main Street Business Loans has pre-approved the release of millions of dollars in small business funding. Your business may already be pre-approved to receive up to $250,000. We've sent out millions of pre-approval letters. We see the economy growing, and our underwriters believe now is the time to invest in your business so you can grow faster and make more money. And we're prepared to give you up to $250,000 to do it. Your funds can be available in 5 days. There are no application fees, no annual fees, just quick access to up to $250,000. If your business did not receive your approval letter to get up to $250,000, call Main Street Business Loans Approval Desk now.
800-509-2163. 800-509-2163. 800-509-2163, 800-509-2163.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it's here. Kraft Nissan's Memorial Day summer kickoff with additional holiday incentives of $500 to $1,000 along with 0% interest for 72 months on 11 models. This is our biggest sale of the year with up to $3,000 off Versa, Sentra, and Frontier, up to $4,000 off the best-selling Rogue, $5,000 off Muranos, up to $6,000 off Altimas, and $7,000 off Maximas. Plus, trade in your Toyota or Honda and receive an additional $1,000 on your trade. And in honor of our veterans and Memorial Day, Kraft Nissan has a military program that gives you our best price plus an additional $500, $750, or $1,000 depending on the model you choose. Finally, let Kraft Nissan add to your summer fun with a free 5-day, 4-night cruise for 2 with any purchase. And as always, Kraft Nissan's exclusive free lifetime warranty on every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles. Tallahassee is officially a Nissan town because Kraft Nissan gives you more value for your dollar. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Parish on the Hill tomorrow. Thank you, Andrew and others. Feels an awful lot like seeing Sands on the Hill tomorrow. Neither have been very good. So I'm going to take that over on 5.5. Now, Notre Dame doesn't hit. So who knows? Kind of a ineptitude facing off there.
Maybe we slide in with a 5-3 win.
I don't need it to be that close. I think we're going to win 13-1.
Okay. Is that a bold endeavor? What happens if you get it dead on 13-1?
I don't know. Let's ask the listening audience.
You take the day off.
13. That benefits you. 13-1 is my prediction for tomorrow's beatdown starting at 11 a.m.
You don't need me to break it down, people.
No.
I already told you what was going to happen.
13-1. I feel pretty good about it.
We'll see you Thursday.
I do want to, at some point, well, first of all, for those that maybe got in the car and missed a lot of the show, we did at least note some of the important things on the day, and I should make mention of it again because it would be a terrible oversight. But I talked about it a lot in the first hour, and I'll talk about it here real quick, and that is the unfortunate passing of Cortez Kennedy, the Hall of Famer and former University of Miami great, dying at the tender age of 48. I hate to see that. These stories are always troubling. We can't really speculate. We know the Orlando Police Department confirmed that they're investigating the death, but that there was, quote, nothing suspicious to report. So however you want to take that, it doesn't sound like a homicide. And given that language, it doesn't even sound like a suicide. And we kind of prattled on about that point because, unfortunately, there have been way too many incidents of former players that walked away from the game and ended up either harming themselves in the aftermath of or the effects of CTE, and those kinds of stories are pretty prevalent. So you worry about that. But either way, a man's gone at 48 years old, and he was an icon with the Seattle Seahawks. And, of course, I remember his entire playing days, his career, not just in the NFL, but also at the University of Miami on that 89 national championship team. And he was a beast. And, again, without getting as in-depth into this story as I did in the 3 o'clock hour, if you want to go back, of course, as I say at the beginning of every hour, we archive the show. So you can go back and listen to that hour. You can watch it on YouTube if you want. You can go find it on the podcast. But, there is a period of time in the late 80s and early 90s where Florida State is coming into their own. Miami has arrived. And eventually, as we get into the mid-90s, of course, Florida arrives as well. And the three schools make up a dominant brand of college football that is, to some degree, the envy of certainly of any state in college football, but the state of college football in general. And that, that's the famed Sports Illustrated cover with the state of Florida on it, and the larger discussion about how many great players come out of the state and how high a level the three universities are playing the sport at the time. So much so that guys like that, Cortez Kennedy I'm speaking of, were involved in some of the all-time great games and battles. And he was the 1992 Defensive Player of the Year. He made 8 Pro Bowls. He had 58 sacks, which is a lot for a tackle, I might say. 11-year career with Seattle. He started in his career, read this earlier today, 153 of the 167 games he was eligible to play in. You talk about just a rock at a position. It was him.
Is there a guy that you could liken him to for people who are maybe my age or younger in terms of playing style? Is he a Haloti Ngata type, a Ndamukong Suh type, a Warren Sapp, Timmy Jernigan, Vince Wilfork? I mean, what kind of tackle was
listen, I'm going to tell you more like Vince Wilfork, only smaller, but he was a big defensive tackle and almost an immovable guy, but he did have the sack totals that are much different than, say, a Wilfork, who doesn't get to the quarterback. So he used his hands exceptionally well, but he was an anchor in there. You really had a hard time moving him. But this was a guy that was disruptive, strong, big, the kinds of things that you see for a guy his size that, like Warren Sapp, you go, oh. And so I guess maybe I'm inclined to say Warren Sapp in that both played at Miami. Both were incredibly athletic for their size. Both players' build wouldn't lead you to believe they were as athletic as they were. But, yeah, man, this is a guy. well, just a great career and a wonderful player, and it's a shame to see that he died at 48 years old. And again, just kind of a relentless player, play in, play out. I mean, he's third overall pick in the draft. So you're talking about a guy that everybody recognized not only his greatness as an All-American at the University of Miami, but they knew as a pro prospect he was kind of a can't-miss guy. And he didn't miss at all. No, in the Hall of Fame. Jimmy Johnson, of course, came out and spoke on this today and said that he was shocked and deeply saddened by the passing of Cortez Kennedy, one of the most talented players that he, quote, ever recruited or coached, a fun-loving person. This is a sad day. So from Jimmy Johnson, who coached him and certainly knew him in a way that he would certainly be able to talk about. And the Seattle Seahawks organization released a similar statement. Sounds like everybody loved the guy. I only knew the guy I saw on television. It's always better when you hear the reports that, quote-unquote, fun-loving, beloved by all, loyal, great friend, teammate. Those are the descriptors today to Cortez Kennedy. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa. Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion.
Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Kiana Redding has been chosen Employee of the Month. An accounts receivable specialist, Kiana's determination, dedication to her work, and outstanding performance reflect the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Kiana.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history. May 23rd, 2002. Sean Green of the Los Angeles Dodgers had one of the best days in Major League history at Miller Park in Milwaukee. He went 6 for 6 with 7 RBIs, 6 runs, and 19 total bases. He also hit 4 home runs, which tied him with 13 others for the most in a 9-inning game. The 19 total bases was also a record.
We lead busy lives. That's why Superlube offers quick and convenient service with no appointment necessary at any of our 19 area locations. And remember, Superlube offers a free top-off service between oil changes, checking and topping off fluids, and tire pressure. But did you know that right now when you buy one wiper blade, you get one free, just in time for Tallahassee's rainy season? Superlube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles.
How I love to superlube my car, yes sir.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
Holly Gordon, we start with reality television. Last night, Tallahassee's very own David Ross earned a perfect score 40 out of 40 during the 3-month competition of Dancing with the Stars. He's one of 3 finalists on the reality television show, joining former Jaguar running back Rashard Jennings. How about the sales contract of Babe Ruth, forged in December 1919, sent the pitcher and the slugger from the Boston Red Sox to the Yankees, now being auctioned by Lelands.com. NBA, the Warriors off to the NBA Finals. They sweep the Spurs 129-115 last night. Manu Ginobili of the Spurs may have played his last game, has not officially announced his retirement. Game 4 of the Celtics and Cavs tonight in Cleveland. Cavs up 2-1, and O.J. Simpson has a parole hearing in July. If he is granted parole, he could be released from prison as early as October.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Always good news when a dumbass who likes to kill stuff gets killed by the stuff he's killing. Big game hunter was killed in Zimbabwe. That we should celebrate at all times. On Friday, when an elephant that he'd shot fell on him. Good on you, dumbass. The hunter, Phineas Botha from South Africa, had been leading paying tourists on hunting trips for over 3 decades. Guiding a group of hunters on Friday near a village called Gwai in western Zimbabwe, according to a media outlet in Africa and Network 24, I believe, when he came across a herd of elephants. And he thought, we should shoot these things. Some of them charged, and Mr. Botha fired toward them with his gun. One elephant got close enough to lift Mr. Botha with his trunk, at which point we can all hope that the elephant began to torture him. Another member of the group then shot the elephant, which killed the elephant before the elephant could kill Mr. Botha by himself. But luckily, that did not stop the elephant from getting some measure of revenge, albeit while dying, he fell onto Mr. Botha. And it was at that point they could not get the elephant off of him, and he was crushed to death. And I celebrate that good news. Hopefully the elephants will get to killing more of these people in the coming days. There's that. That's an aside.
Coming up tonight at 7:30 on 97.9 ESPN Radio, pregame coverage of Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals as Cleveland looks to bounce back from a disappointing loss.
It's well done. Yeah. Man, it would have been a better story had the elephant A lived and B been successful in either stomping him to the death in the horror and dismay of the other hunters, and then and or B would have been able to use or utilize his tusks to maul him slowly. That would be a good one too. Or even perhaps scoop him with the trunk and throw him into a river full of crocs. That'd be a good one.
That would have
good
been a good
croc death is always good.
Now, if that was actually what had happened,
that
scenario,
celebration.
Well, no, that would be up there with the ice skating bear who mauled the Russian trainer while on skates.
One of our favorite stories, right? One of the all-time great videos, too, is that of a bear sitting next to a trainer and a woman coming over to take a picture with said bear when bear decides, and it's go time. Every time I see that, I go, yeah, awesome. That bear's slapping the hell out of that woman.
Wait, he goes after the woman, not the trainer?
Oh, yeah, just turns and just starts to beat the woman about the head and neck. It's wonderful. NFL owners responding to inclement weather that has delayed the opening of a new stadium in Los Angeles voted unanimously today to instead reward Tampa Bay with the Super Bowl in 2021. Los Angeles will subsequently host the Super Bowl a year later in 2022. The Buccaneers and Rams now have 90 days until August 25th to prove their respective facilities are on track to host said Super Bowls. The Bucs Raymond James Stadiums will host the Super Bowl, which was originally scheduled to be played at the $2.6 billion facility in Inglewood. Always up to no good. Wanted to keep going with that, but that would be really wide of me. That will be shared by the Rams and Chargers. Also should note that $2.6 billion facility sounds a bit much. $2.6 billion? Aren't stadiums usually built in the millions?
Hundreds of millions,
Yeah.
But you know what?
Billion? Not just a billion, 2.6 billion.
Jerry Jones changed the game, man.
I guess.
I don't know how much the Atlanta one is. I'll take a look at that real quick.
Can't be billions, right?
Can't imagine the Minnesota one was cheap to make either.
I can't either, but it also doesn't sound like something, I don't know, forgive me, that we need to be doing. $2.6 billion on a football stadium? All right. The decision was made during Tuesday's annual one-day meeting of the league's 32 owners from Chicago, which took place 5 days after the Rams and Chargers announced that record rainfall in L.A. had pushed that opening of the new stadium back a year to 2020. The league ultimately felt it was too risky to host a Super Bowl so close to the target date. Roger Goodell said that Gronke was incredibly cooperative, that's the owner, and remains focused on creating a quality stadium for the long term. For the long term for fans in Los Angeles.
Maybe it's something to do with the taxes that are involved with putting up that type of stadium on that, in the land out in California and how much more valuable the land is.
Because
out
no
there.
other stadium's close, is it?
No, Minnesota's was $975 million. Atlanta's was expensive, and the initial price tag, now that they're not done yet, so it might have cost more in the end, $1.6 billion to put up the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That is also behind schedule.
And that is still a full $1 billion short of the asking price for this particular stadium. That is, Tampa has previously hosted 4 Super Bowls. I remember all of them, 84, 91, 2001, and 2009. The last 2 played at Raymond James Stadium. The one in 84 is spectacular, as was the one in 91.
As was the one in 09.
Well, yeah, you're right. We've had some incredible Super Bowls in Tampa Bay. I can still, think about Marcus Allen's run for the Raiders against Washington, and just an all-time run. And then, of course, 91 as well, Giants and Bills.
I remember the 01 game. It was a dud. That was a foregone conclusion by the middle of the second quarter that the Ravens were going to win that Super Bowl. But then in 09, there's so many great plays. There's the Harrison 100 and whatever yard return for a touchdown.
Crazy run back, yeah.
That he wasn't supposed to be there for. He was supposed to blitz in the play, at which point there would have been a touchdown on the play rather than the touchdown going the other way. Then there's Fitzgerald breaking in the open field for a late touchdown for the Cardinals.
And an all-time throw that combats that incredible play because at the end of the day, that's a throw and catch for the ages, right?
Santonio Holmes, I believe, was on
that
the
is
other end of
correct, and Big Ben fires it in the only place that his guy could catch it, and it's over a safety, and it is pinpoint accurate, and it's whistling. It's coming in with a little what for.
Fitzgerald would have had one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Super Bowl performance for a wide receiver had that not happened. That's the way it would have gone down in the legacy of Super Bowl lore, but it was not to be because the drive and that throw and that catch in the corner of that end zone trumped everything that Arizona had put together that season.
Yeah, that's one of those Super Bowls where you don't have a team that you care as to who wins the game, and you're just rooting for greatness, and you get it, and along the way you end up deciding that the heart of one team, overcomes the skill to a certain point of another, and you go, I think I'm just going to root for Arizona here. And it's a misnomer because Arizona's incredibly skilled. That team's offense is insane, but yet the perception is that Pittsburgh's the much better team, and Arizona comes back and has that moment that you're talking about with Larry Fitzgerald, and you think they're going to win. They're going to come back and win this Super Bowl. How about that? The Arizona Cardinals are going to win a Super Bowl, and then that laser and that drive.
Beyond the greatest show on turf, that's what cemented Kurt Warner's career as a Hall of Fame career was the work he did out in Arizona. Because remember, the first stop on his tour
the Giants, he was terrible.
They cut him in favor of Eli Manning. They said, well, you were supposed to be the guy that allows Eli time to develop, but you know what? We need to start him now because you suck.
Yeah, well, and his thumb was broken. He was trying to play with that, and then he had a further injury, and he was just awful. And then there was no hint that he was going to be good again, right? And then that happened. You're absolutely correct.
And the talking points were, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk, Mike Martz. Everything kind of fell into place for you, Kurt.
And then, of course, he went on to prove that he was worthy of a Hall of Fame induction.
Big dude.
Come back, wrap it up momentarily. Before we do, at Jay Cameron Show, how unfortunate Mr. Botha suffered comparatively little for the pain and suffering he caused while alive. # karma decades late. Thank you, Mario. Good work. Probables coming up next.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle.
More saving, more doing. Valid through May 29th.
You wake up to birds chirping before the alarm even starts to ring. It's 6 a.m. and dawn's barely here. A choir of birds singing in your ear. It was cute at first, but now it's just the worst. Wrap it up, guys. When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's Breakfast Crunch Wrap. A whole breakfast wrapped up and grilled to eat on the go. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now?
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world.
Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Kiana Redding has been chosen Employee of the Month. An accounts receivable specialist, Kiana's determination, dedication to her work, and outstanding performance reflect the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Kiana.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna, I-10 exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
And away we go. Rockies, Phillies, Marquez, Eflin. That's that matchup right there. Royals, Yankees, Danny Duffy, Jordan Montgomery. We got Twins, Orioles, Irvin Santana, Dylan Bundy, Giants, Cubs. Good matchup. Cueto, Lester. Pretty good game. Mariners, Nats. Christian Bergman goes against Joe Ross. We got the Indians and the Reds. Carlos Carrasco, Amir Garrett. Angels, Rays, Matt Shoemaker, and Alex Cobb, Tom's favorite pitcher. Tom's least favorite pitcher goes for his favorite team. How about that? Padres, Mets, Chacin, Harvey.
Good outing coming from Harvey tonight.
Little sideways you're there. You wouldn't give me the 18 tonight.
Quality starter better? I mean, he's been so awful that should be the tipping point.
It is the Padres. You might accidentally have a quality start by underhanding the ball. So, I mean, that's a toughie. Let me come back on that one.
Okay.
Rangers, Red Sox, Cashner, Porcello. In fact, does a quality start exist if you shut down the Padres? Pirates, Braves, Tyler Glass now. He'll walk you. R.A. Dickey. At the end of the line. Jays, Brewers. How do you say Joe's last name? Biagini? Biagini? Biagini?
How's it spelled?
B-I-A-G-I-N-E? I mean. B-I-A-G-I-N-I?
Biagini.
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 Yeah. Joe Biagini. Biagini's on the hill tonight for the Jays. Hey, it's Biagini. Jimmy Nelson goes for the Brewers. Tigers, Astros, Jordan Zimmerman, Lance McCullers Jr. We amuse ourselves. White Sox, D-backs, Dylan Covey, Patrick Corbin. Marlins, A's, Jose Urena goes against Jesse Hahn.
Peter, just because you have a mustache doesn't mean you can speak Italian. Bibbidi-bobbidi, bobbidi-bibbidi.
I feel like Jesse Hahn would be the name of the Playboy model that fells the next politician on his way to the presidency. If he hadn't just fallen for Jesse Hahn, things would have been all right. Well, it's Jesse Hahn. True. Can you say with great certainty that you would not have fallen victim to Jesse Hahn if the circumstances were reversed? That's true. That's a toughie. She looks just like Selma Hayek. You got me. Cardinals, Dodgers, Lance Lynn, Clayton Kershaw. And for no good reason, I hate Lance Lynn. Always have. And that's a look at those that Shahrazad on the bump.
under the light.
I don't know what it is, but I do. Every time, like when the Pirates play the Cardinals and they go, Lance Lynn started, I'm like, that bastard. And there's no reason. There's no reason. I don't do it with anybody else. And I don't even think Lynn's been particularly good against the Pirates. I just, for whatever reason, I don't like that dude. I feel like he's iffy.
He exudes 3/4 starter to me. Just the name does.
Well, it's just something I think that says I'm shaky. My name's Lance Lynn, and I'm shaky. I'm shaky on the hill, and I'm shaky off of it. I'm a shaky dude.
So he's the guy that you defend to your friends, but then he does something shaky, and you go, well, I can't help
what am I supposed to do there? This
Damn
freaking
it.
guy. Come on, Lance.
Maybe they are right.
They've sworn you were shaky, and I defended you. But now I look like the ass because, again, you with the shakiness. Yeah, I think it does feel like that, doesn't it? We've all had that guy. At some point, you're like, I'm off of you. I'm done. That's it. I'm washing my hands of you. Here's $10,000. Go do what you got to do. I'm saying that's the mob.
Yeah, that was Goodfellas, right?
Yeah.
You taking Harvey to stink?
Quality start? You go quality start or no?
How about sliding scale? 6 innings, 2 runs, or 7 innings, 3 runs, and I win.
Okay.
Or better.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, he won't do that well. He's going to give up 4 in the first. Good work out of you, sir. Good work out of you, Matthew. Take care. Have a great night, everybody. Be nice to each other.
Blow it on the rooster.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.